You are listening to Crash Landing into Love, written by Dean Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. She dove after an alpha at 13,000 feet, caught him mid-freefall, crash-landed them both alive. Now his wolf is claiming her as mate, exposing the secret she's been running from for 3 years. Welcome to Crash Landing into Love. This is an original story written exclusively for you, the listeners of this channel. If you love shifter romances with heart, humor, and a vegan snow leopard who steals every scene, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Your engagement is the only way that keeps these stories coming. Want to see your story idea come to life? Comment below with your favorite tropes, meet-cutes, or sidekick ideas. I read every single one, and your idea might be the next story you hear. And because so many of you asked, yes, there's an exclusive bonus epilogue waiting for you. It's completely free and features Snow launching his YouTube channel, finding love and causing his usual chaos. You'll find Snow's big break at happynovels.com. Link is in the description and pinned in the first comment. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. The wind at 13,000 feet tasted like ice and adrenaline. Skye Thornfield adjusted her goggles and checked the camera mount on her vest one last time. The live feed blinked green. Snow, her snow leopard, was watching from the ground, probably pacing his usual tight circle around the monitor in the control trailer. "Audio check," she said into her comm. "I am seeing you perfectly. Yes." Snow's voice crackled through with that inexplicable accent, vaguely Eastern European, mixed with something she couldn't place, spoken with the gravity of a film director reviewing Oscar-worthy footage. "The lighting is acceptable. Your form is adequate." "Gee, thanks," Skye said. "But I'm reminding you, no barrel rolls," Snow continued. "You remember the kayak incident from last month, yes? The insurance people, they are still sending me the bills." Skye grinned despite the knot of nervous energy in her gut. "You don't pay bills, Snow. You're a leopard. This is beside the point." His voice took on an offended dignity that made her want to laugh. "The point is, you are having very poor judgment when it comes to aquatic sports. No flips, no tricks. Straight down, take the photos, deploy the chute like a professional person." The jump light flashed yellow. 30 seconds. "I promise to be boring," Skye said. "This I do not believe for even 1 second," Snow muttered. "But I am watching, every moment. Do not make me regret giving you the good camera." "I love you too, buddy." She moved to the open door. Cold air screamed past, stealing the breath from her lungs. The landscape below stretched out like a photograph, mountain ranges cutting sharp lines against autumn fields, the drop zone a postage stamp of cleared land beside the winding river. Perfect conditions, clear sky, stable wind forecasts. The light flashed green. Skye threw herself into nothing. The roar of freefall swallowed everything. Wind tearing at her jumpsuit, with the sound of ripping fabric magnified 1,000 times, the Cessna's engine fading to a distant hum. Her stomach lurched as gravity claimed her, that split second of terror before training kicked in and her body found its position. Arms out, legs spread, falling at terminal velocity. 120 miles per hour of pure freedom. Through her goggles, the world became texture and color. Bronze fields, dark forest, the silver thread of river. Her altimeter read 12,500 feet, plenty of time. "Beautiful!" Snow's voice crackled through her comm, thick with approval. "You see this composition? This is art, not like last week with the blurry clouds." Skye angled her body and raised her camera. The mountains framed perfectly in her viewfinder. Click. The fall line of the valley with the river cutting through. Click, cloud shadows racing across. The wind changed, not the normal buffeting of freefall. This was different, a sudden horizontal force that grabbed her like a giant hand and shoved. Her body tumbled sideways, spinning. The horizon tilted. Her camera jerked on its mount. The harness straps bit into her shoulders. "What the hell?" Skye fought to stabilize, arms in, tucking into a ball before spreading again to regain control. "Skye!" Snow's accent sharpened with alarm. "The wind, it is changing. I am seeing it on my weather monitor. This should not be happening." The wind gust hit again, stronger. The sound changed. a deep whoosh that she felt in her chest, pressure building in her ears. Sky fought to stabilize, arms in, tucking into a ball before spreading again to regain control. Her GPS tracker on the vest console showed her drift. She was being pushed east, away from the designated landing zone. Fast. "You are going too far east," Snow said, his voice climbing an octave. "This is not good. This is very not good. You need to—" Through breaks in the buffeting wind, she caught glimpses of the ground. Wrong terrain, wrong approach. She'd cleared the original drop zone entirely and was being blown over. Another plane. Sky's heart kicked against her ribs. A private Cessna, smaller than hers had been, maybe 1,000 feet above her current altitude. Single engine. The kind rich people chartered for solo jumps or small groups. One figure fell from the open door. Clean exit. Good form. But the wind slammed into her again. Equipment rattled against her vest. The metallic ping of carabiners, the flap of fabric. Something on her vest made a sharp cracking sound. Not good. Definitely not good. And then her GoPro camera mount snapped. The entire housing tore free, ripped away by the wind with enough force that she felt the impact through her harness like someone had punched her in the chest. The camera tumbled through the air, spinning away. A black shape against blue sky, getting smaller, straight toward the other jumper. No! Sky twisted, trying to track it, but free fall and wind made accuracy impossible. The small black shape disappeared into the chaos of air and distance. "What is happening?" Snow demanded. "Your camera feed. It is cutting out. Sky, what are you doing up there?" She needed to get below this wind layer. Her altimeter read 10,000 feet, the numbers glowing red against the digital display. Still high enough to wait, to get clear of the turbulence before deploying her chute. The other jumper was below her now, maybe 500 feet down. She could see his silhouette against the autumn landscape, probably thinking the same thing. Ride out the wind, deploy clean. 9,000 feet. The other jumper's form looked good. Stable. Experienced, definitely. His body position was textbook. 8,000 feet. Wait. His position was too stable. Skydivers moved in free fall. Constant micro-adjustments, tracking across the sky, checking altitude. This guy was falling like dead weight. Arrow straight, no movement. His arms were slack at his sides, legs together instead of spread for stability. He was spiraling, slowly, almost gracefully, his body rotating on an invisible axis. "Oh, God," the words ripped from her throat. "What? What is 'oh, God'? I am not liking this phrase from you." Snow's voice went sharp with panic. "Sky, you are scaring me. What is happening?" The jumper wasn't conscious. 7,000 feet. Sky tucked into a dive position. Head down, arms tight to her body, legs together, streamlined. A human arrow punching through air resistance, accelerating past terminal velocity. The wind screamed in her ears, a high-pitched shriek that drowned out everything else. Her goggles pressed against her face so hard she thought they might crack. The pressure built behind her eyes in her sinuses. "Sky, your altitude, it is dropping too fast." Snow's voice cracked. "What are you— No, 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 no. You are not doing what I think you are doing." 6,500 feet. She was gaining on him. His unconscious form grew larger. She could see details now. Dark jumpsuit, expensive gear, broad shoulders. His head lolled to one side, chin tucked against his chest. "There is another jumper?" Snow's voice pitched higher, words tumbling over each other. "You are diving after another jumper? This is insane! This is— Sky, you cannot save people from the sky! This is not how physics works." 6,000 feet. Closer. 20 feet. 15. She spread her arms slightly to control the dive, adjusting her angle. Too fast and she'd overshoot. Too slow and they'd both run out of sky. The cold air burned her exposed skin, the small patch of cheek visible between goggles and collar. 5,700 feet. Snow read from his monitor, his accent thickening with stress. "Sky, please deploy your chute. You cannot help if you are also dead." 10 feet 5. Sky grabbed him. Her gloved hands found his harness and she wrapped herself around him like a second skin. Arms hooked through his straps, legs scissoring around his waist, every muscle locked to hold them together as the wind tried to tear them apart. His body was dead weight against hers, warm and solid and completely limp. She could feel his chest moving, shallow breaths against her shoulder. "Oh my God, you actually grabbed him." Snow's voice went flat with disbelief. "You are the most ridiculous person I have ever known." "Deploy the chute right now before I'm having a heart attack." 5,500 feet. She had seconds. Maybe less. Her right hand found her main chute's ripcord. The other arm stayed locked around him, holding with strength born from sheer terror. If she lost him now, don't think. Just pull. The ripcord yanked free. The metal cable slid through her gloved fingers, that familiar resistance that meant everything was working. For one endless heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the pilot chute deployed. The main canopy exploded from her pack with a sound like a thunderclap, that distinctive crack that every skydiver knew, amplified by the chaos of wind. The harness jerked. Not the normal, manageable tug of a solo deployment, but a vicious snap that felt like it might tear her in half. She'd deployed with double the rated weight. The straps cut into her thighs and shoulders with enough force to leave bruises, maybe worse. The leg straps dug into the soft tissue of her inner thighs, burning. "The chute, it is deploying, thank God," Snow breathed. "But you are falling too fast still. The weight, it is too much for one canopy. Sky, you need to—" The ground rushed up to meet them. Too fast. Way too fast. Sky grabbed the toggles and pulled hard, flaring the canopy to slow their descent. Her arms burned, muscles screaming as she fought against physics and gravity and the dead weight dragging her down. The unconscious man in her grip was like anchoring a parachute to a boulder. Everything fought against her. The toggles bit into her palms even through the gloves. 1,000 feet. The drop zone was visible now. She could see the control trailer, the parking area, people running and pointing up at them. Tiny figures growing larger with each passing second. "I am seeing you," Snow said, his voice suddenly quiet, steady, like he was afraid any loud noise might shatter her concentration. "You are doing good. Pull more on the left toggle. Yes, like this. You can do this. I believe in you." 500 feet. Come on, come on. Her voice was raw. The canopy struggled against the weight, the rate of descent just barely under control. She aimed for the open grass field, away from the equipment and vehicles, away from anything they could hit. 200 feet. She couldn't land soft, not with his dead weight. She'd have to take the impact for both of them, try to— "Brace yourself," Snow said. "This is going to hurt." 100 feet. Sky pulled the toggles to her chest, flaring as hard as she could. The canopy caught air and slowed. Not enough. Still too fast. Her arms shook with the effort. 50 feet. She wrapped her body around him, tucking his head against her shoulder, trying to position herself to absorb impact. The ground hit like a wall. They went down hard, tumbling, grass and dirt and sky spinning. The breath exploded from her lungs in a painful whoosh. Her shoulder slammed into earth, the joint compressing, something grinding wrong. Pain shot up her arm, bright and sharp. His weight crushed against her. They rolled once, twice, tangled in parachute lines and harness straps. The nylon fabric wrapped around her legs, tightening. Everything stopped. Sky lay on her back in the grass. Her parachute collapsed around them like a deflated cloud, staring at the too blue sky. Every part of her body screamed. Her lungs wouldn't work properly. She sucked in air that felt thick and wrong, like breathing through cotton. When breath finally came, it tasted like blood and grass and fear. The man lay half on top of her, still unconscious. And then something small and pale landed on his back with a solid thump. Snow. The leopard stood on the unconscious man's shoulder blades, his blue eyes wild, his too pale fur standing in spikes. He leaned down and pressed his nose against Sky's forehead, cold and wet and familiar, then pulled back to glare at her. "You," he said, his voice shaking, "are the most stupid, brave, ridiculous person I am ever knowing." "Snow?" Her voice came out as a wheeze. "I'm okay. You are not okay. Look at you." He batted her cheek with one paw, gently, despite his outrage. "You are bleeding. You are probably having broken ribs. And this person," he turned to glare at the unconscious man, This person you are risking your life for, he is not even waking up to say thank you." The man's face swam into focus above her, the unconscious jumper, dark hair, strong jaw. Even unconscious and potentially dying, he was unfairly handsome. Blood trickled from a cut above his temple, a thin red line against pale skin. Something metallic glinted in the collar of his jumpsuit, a piece of her camera mount, the manufacturer's logo still visible on the twisted metal, lodged between the fabric and his helmet strap. Her stomach dropped. The broken camera had definitely hit him. Hard enough to knock him out, hard enough to kill him if she hadn't caught him. She said nothing to Snow. His chest rose and fell, breathing, alive, the rhythm steady against her own broken breathing. "Thank you," Sky whispered to whatever deity might be listening. Snow pressed his cold nose against her cheek, then turned and hissed at the man currently crushing her into the grass. "You are very heavy. Get off of her before I'm biting you." Voices shouted in the distance, running footsteps pounding across the field, getting closer. Paramedics, probably. The drop zone emergency crew. Sky closed her eyes and tried to remember how to breathe. In through her nose, pain. Out through her mouth, more pain. She'd just saved a complete stranger's life. Or maybe she'd just ruined it. After all, her equipment had nearly killed him first. Either way, her suppressant bracelet dug into her wrist beneath her glove, the metal band pressing into bone, and her wolf stayed mercifully silent. Nobody needed to know what she really was. Just another adrenaline junkie photographer who'd gotten lucky. Snow made a disapproving sound deep in his throat. "This man, he smells expensive. Rich people problems, I am telling you." He looked at her, his blue eyes suddenly serious. "But also he is smelling like something else. Something." He paused, whiskers twitching. "We are discussing this later, when you are not bleeding on the grass like a dramatic person. Not now, Snow." Sky tried to push herself up on her elbows. Her shoulder refused to cooperate. "Help me up." "You are staying exactly where you are," Snow said firmly. "The medical people, they are coming. You see? There." He gestured with one paw toward the approaching figures. "Now I am being a normal leopard who does not talk. Watch how convincing I am." He settled onto the grass near her shoulder and tucked his paws under his chest, blue eyes going wide and innocent. The transformation was instant and entirely unconvincing, but Sky was too tired to argue. Chapter 2. Snow had gone from dramatic rescue leopard to professional innocent bystander in approximately 3 seconds. Sky watched him settle onto the grass near her shoulder, too pale fur gleaming in the afternoon sun, blue eyes wide and guileless. He'd even tucked his paws under his chest in that way that made him look like a decorative throw pillow. The picture of harmless. "You're not fooling anyone," she muttered. "I am being very small and uninteresting," Snow whispered back, barely moving his mouth. "Like a rock or a bag of flour." "You're white and a snow leopard," Sky said. "Details," Snow said. The paramedics arrived first, 2 of them sprinting across the field with a medical bag and backboard. Behind them, a man in an expensive suit ran with his phone pressed to his ear, his other hand gesturing sharply. His leather shoes kicked up grass with each step. "Don't care what you have to cancel. Get the helicopter here now." Sky's ribs screamed as she tried to sit up. The pain was sharp, stabbing, like someone was driving knives between each bone. Snow made a small sound of protest, but didn't move, maintaining his flour bag impression. The paramedics reached them first, dropping to their knees beside the unconscious man, still half sprawled across her legs. Their equipment bags hit the ground with soft thuds. "Sir, can you hear me?" The older paramedic, her name tag read Chen, pressed 2 fingers to his neck, checking his pulse. Her touch was gentle, professional. "We've got a pulse, strong and steady. Possible head injury." The man's eyelids fluttered. Just barely, like he was fighting his way up through deep water. Chen leaned closer. "Sir, can you hear me? What's your name?" His eyes opened, just barely, unfocused gray struggling to track. His mouth moved. Something that might have been words came out, slurred and unclear. The sound was thick, muzzy, like his tongue was too heavy. "That's good," Chen said, her voice shifting from urgent to controlled relief. "Stay with me. What's your name?" "Seren." The word was thick, muzzy. His eyes started to drift closed again, lids heavy. "Soren, I need you to stay still for me, okay? We're going to take care of you." Chen's hands moved efficiently, checking his pupils with a penlight. Rodriguez, the younger paramedic, was already pulling supplies from the medical bag. The zipper's rasp cut through the afternoon air. "Pupils are reactive but sluggish. Looks like a concussion, maybe moderate. We need to keep him immobile for transport." "Agreed." Chen looked up at her partner. "Let's give him something to keep him comfortable. I don't want him getting agitated and moving around." "On it." Rodriguez pulled out an IV kit, the plastic packaging crinkling as he tore it open. The suited man, who'd been holding his breath, let it out in a rush. "He's okay? He's going to be okay?" "He's responsive, which is very good," Chen said, already prepping an IV line with practiced efficiency. The alcohol wipe's sharp scent cut through the smell of grass and earth. But head injuries are unpredictable. "We need to get him to the hospital for a full workup, CT scan, neurological assessment. We're giving him a mild sedative to keep him calm during transport." Rodriguez had the IV in within seconds, a smooth, clean stick. He pressed the plunger on a syringe, the clear liquid disappearing into the line. "This'll make you feel better, buddy. Just relax." Soren's eyes had already closed again, his body going slack as the medication hit his system. His breathing deepened, evened out. Chen continued checking vitals, her fingers pressing along his neck, his shoulders, checking for injuries. "Unconscious, approximately." 7 minutes, Skye said. Her voice came out hoarse, raw. "Maybe 8. He wasn't responsive during freefall." Rodriguez turned to look at her properly for the first time. His eyes widened. "You're bleeding." "I'm fine," Skye said. "You have blood on your face," Rodriguez said. "Not mine." "Probably." Skye touched her cheek, and her glove came away red, sticky. Okay, maybe some of it was hers. "Check him first." He took the impact to the head. The man in the suit reached them, breathing hard. Up close, he was younger than she'd thought, maybe early 30s, with the kind of perfectly styled hair that probably required product and a standing appointment. His suit probably cost more than her camera rig. Had cost more than her camera rig. Past tense. Rodriguez had turned his full attention to her now, professional assessment taking in her condition. "Ma'am, I need you to stay still. You just fell from how high?" 13,000 feet, Skye said. "Right. So we need to check you for, Rodriguez started. "I'm fine." Skye tried to shift Soren off her legs. Her shoulder protested violently, grinding, burning pain that made her vision white out for a second. "Just help him." "George," Chen said to the suited man without looking up, "we need space. Step back so we can work." Skye's brain felt slow, like it was moving through honey. Shock, probably, or the fact that she'd just saved a man's life after nearly killing him with her camera. The metal fragment was still lodged in Soren's collar. She could see it glinting in the sunlight, a small accusation. George moved back half a step, his phone ringing again. The electronic trill cut through the organized chaos. He answered it without taking his eyes off Soren. "He's breathing. Yes, I'm sure. Paramedics are taking him to the hospital. I'll keep you posted." Chen and Rodriguez worked with efficient speed, carefully rolling Soren onto the backboard and securing his head and neck with foam blocks and straps. The Velcro ripped as they fastened each one. The moment his weight lifted off her, Skye could breathe again. Her ribs still hurt, sharp stabbing pain with each inhale, but at least oxygen was flowing. Snow crept closer, pressing his cold nose against her wrist. Still silent, still playing innocent. His whiskers tickled her skin. George ended his call and turned to Skye. His expression had shifted from panic to something more controlled. Calculating, like he was working through a complex problem and arriving at an answer he hadn't expected. She braced herself for questions about the accident, for demands to know what happened. "You saved his life," George said. Skye blinked. What?" "You saved Soren Silvercrest's life." George's voice was steady now, the professional mask back in place. His eyes flicked to the parachute still tangled around them, to the harness lines, to her torn gloves. "You saw him in distress and you went after him. Silvercrest." The name clicked into place with an almost audible snap. Silvercrest Ventures, the billionaire who'd just acquired Summit Extreme Sports last month. The acquisition had been all over the industry news. A tech mogul pivoting into adventure tourism, pumping millions into safety equipment and training programs. Oh no. Sky's mouth felt dry, tasted like copper and dirt. He wasn't responding. I couldn't just... Most people would have, George said quietly. One parachute, 2 people. You took a hell of a risk. He glanced at the paramedics loading Soren carefully onto a stretcher, their movements synchronized and careful. You should be checked out too. That was a hard landing. I'm fine, Sky said. You fell from a plane carrying a 200-pound unconscious man, George said. 190, Sky said automatically, then mentally kicked herself. I mean, look, I'm okay, just bumps and bruises. He needs the hospital, not me. A helicopter touched down at the edge of the field, rotors still spinning. The downdraft flattened the grass, sent debris flying. 2 more paramedics jumped out with a gurney, moving at a run. Come with us, George said. Please. I said I'm fine, Sky said. Snow chose that moment to abandon his flour bag impression. She is not fine, the leopard announced, his accent sharp with indignation. She is having at least 2 broken ribs, possible concussion, definitely bruised organs, and she is being too stubborn to admit any of this because she is thinking she is made of titanium. George's eyes went very wide. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. Snow, Sky hissed. No, I am not being quiet. Snow stood up, all 20 pounds of outraged feline, his tail lashing. You are going to the hospital and you are getting checked for all the things. Internal bleeding, collapsed lung, brain swelling, kidney damage, spleen rupture. How do you even know about spleen rupture? Sky demanded. I am watching a lot of medical dramas while you are being reckless with your adventurous photography. Snow turned to George, who was staring at him like he'd just witnessed a unicorn tap dancing. You seem like a responsible person. You will tell her she must go to hospital, yes? George's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Your cat talks. I'm not a cat. I'm a leopard. There is a difference. Snow's tail lashed again, the tip twitching with irritation. And obviously I am talking. What else would I be doing? Juggling? George shook his head as if to clear it, like he could physically dislodge the impossibility of what he was witnessing. Then he visibly pulled himself together, squaring his shoulders. Yes, absolutely. She needs to be checked out. He turned to Rodriguez. Can we get her on the helicopter? Sure, Rodriguez said. He was staring at Snow too, but with the careful expression of someone who'd decided to just roll with whatever weirdness was happening. If she can walk, I can walk. Sky started to push herself up, bracing her good hand against the ground. Her shoulder disagreed violently. The joint ground, sharp and wrong, and pain exploded down her arm. The world tilted sideways, horizon and sky switching places. Snow made a sound like a tea kettle about to explode. This is what I'm talking about. You see, she is being ridiculous. Strong hands caught her before she could topple over completely. Rodriguez on one side, Chen on the other, their grips firm and steady. Easy, Chen said. Let's get you checked out. This is unnecessary, Sky protested, but her voice lacked conviction. Everything hurt in that distant, shock-muted way that promised to hurt much worse later. Like the pain was waiting, building, getting ready to crash over her all at once. It is very necessary, Snow declared. He trotted alongside as the paramedics helped her toward the helicopter, his tail held high like a general leading troops. She is needing X-rays and CT scans, and probably one of those machines that goes beep beep to make sure her heart is not giving up from stupidity. George fell into step beside them, his phone out again, fingers flying across the screen. I'll let the family know you're coming in too. They'll want to thank you properly. That's really not... Sky started. Ms. George paused, looking up from his phone. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Thornfield. Sky Thornfield, she said. Ms. Thornfield saved Soren's life, George said into his phone, his voice crisp and professional. Yes, the jumper who... Yes, she's injured too. We're taking her to the same hospital. Make sure the family knows. Sky caught Snow's eye. The leopard gave her an innocent look that was completely unconvincing. The helicopter's interior smelled like antiseptic and plastic, with an underlying metallic tang that probably came from the equipment. They'd loaded Soren first, still unconscious but stable on the stretcher, his chest rising and falling with mechanical regularity. Now the paramedics were trying to convince Sky to lie down on the second gurney. "I can sit," she said. "Hospital policy," Rodriguez started. "I'm sitting or I'm walking back to my truck." Sky crossed her arms, then immediately regretted it when her ribs screamed. The pain was white-hot, stealing her breath. "Your choice." Rodriguez sighed the sigh of someone who'd had this argument before and knew when to concede. "Fine. Sit, but you're getting a neck brace." "I don't need—" Sky started. Snow hopped up into her lap with zero warning and approximately 12 pounds of strategic pressure directly on her bruised ribs. Sky gasped, the air punching out of her lungs. "You are wearing the neck brace," Snow announced, settling himself like a furry medical enforcer. His weight pressed against her injuries with perfect precision. "And you are not arguing. I am very small and cute, and I will make the sad eyes at the medical people if you are being difficult." George, who'd climbed in after them, made a sound that might have been a strangled laugh. "Your cat is—" "Leopard," Snow corrected primly. "Snow leopard. Very different. More dramatic. Better cheekbones." "Right. Your leopard is very—" George trailed off, searching for words. "Opinionated," Sky supplied. "I was going to say incredible." George was still staring at Snow, with the expression of someone mentally rewriting their understanding of reality. "Does he always talk like that?" "Unfortunately." Sky submitted to Rodriguez fitting the neck brace, mostly because Snow was giving her a look that promised escalation if she didn't cooperate. The foam pressed against her jaw, restricting her movement. "And yes, before you ask, I have no idea why he has that accent." "It is adding character," Snow said. "I am being distinguished." "You're a 20-pound leopard who critiques my photography and watches medical dramas," Sky said. "I am containing multitudes," Snow said with dignity. The helicopter lifted off. Through the window, the drop zone fell away. Her truck still parked there, her gear scattered across the field, her life waiting. The ground shrank beneath them, becoming a patchwork of fields and roads. Soren's hand twitched against the stretcher straps. "I thought he was sedated," Sky asked. "He is," Rodriguez said, checking the IV line with a gentle tug. The clear bag swayed slightly. "Sometimes people move a little. Dreams, muscle memory, nothing to worry about." But Soren's fingers kept moving, restless. His head turned slightly despite the neck stabilizer fighting the restraint. His mouth moved, forming silent words. Sky reached over without thinking, her hand closing over his. His skin was warm, rough with calluses. "Hey, you're okay. You're safe." His fingers tightened around hers. Not a reflex. This was deliberate, strong, desperate. Then his eyes flew open, unfocused, drugged, but open. Gray irises blown wide, pupils dilated from the sedation. His voice came out rough and desperate, raw with emotion. "Mate, don't leave me." Sky froze. George's head snapped up. Rodriguez's hands stilled on the equipment, frozen mid-adjustment. Soren's grip tightened, pulling her hand toward his chest, pressing it against his sternum. She could feel his heartbeat, fast, urgent. "Please, don't—" Then his eyes rolled back and he was out again, hand going slack, the sedation pulling him back under. His fingers loosened, slipping from hers. The helicopter filled with the kind of silence that screamed louder than any noise. Even the rotors seemed quieter, muffled. Sky stared at their joined hands, her fingers still tangled with his palm warm against hers. At his face, peaceful now, sedated and unaware of what he'd just said. Her suppressant bracelet felt suddenly too tight around her wrist, the metal band pressing against bone, cutting off circulation. "Mate, impossible." She was suppressed. She looked up and found George staring at her with an expression she couldn't read. Shock. Calculation. something that looked almost like hope, bright and desperate in his eyes. "That was," George started, his voice careful. "Drug talk," Sky said quickly. Too quickly. "Obviously. Head injury, sedation. People say all kinds of things when they're right." George's voice was carefully neutral. "Drug talk." But his eyes said something different, something that made her stomach drop. Sky turned to Snow, desperate for the leopard to break the tension with one of his ridiculous comments. Snow, who always had an opinion about everything. Snow, who never shut up. Snow was staring at their joined hands with his jaw slightly open, his blue eyes wider than she'd ever seen them. His whiskers were completely still. For the first time since she'd found him as a cub, Snow was completely, utterly silent. The helicopter banked left, heading toward the city. Sky carefully extracted her hand from Soren's, placing it back on the stretcher. Her palm felt cold where his warmth had been. Chapter 3. The hospital was too bright, too loud, and smelled like industrial cleaner fighting a losing battle against sickness. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, a constant, irritating buzz that made Sky's headache worse. They'd put Sky in a room next to Soren's, in case the families want to coordinate, the nurse had explained, which made zero sense until Sky realized they thought she and Soren knew each other, that she was someone who mattered. Snow had immediately befriended every staff member who entered by being aggressively charming and asking absurdly detailed questions about their equipment. He perched on the edge of her bed like a medical student on rounds. "This machine," he said to the nurse, taking Sky's blood pressure, gesturing with one paw like a university lecturer. "It is measuring what exactly? The squeezing of the heart or the flowing of the blood?" "Both, technically." The nurse didn't even blink at the talking leopard. Her name tag read Mark, and he had the unflappable expression of someone who'd worked ER for too many years to be surprised by anything. "It measures the force of blood against artery walls." "Fascinating." Snow watched the digital readout with the intensity of a film student analyzing Kubrick. The numbers climbed, 120 over 85. "And when the numbers are being too high, this means the human is exploding soon, yes?" "Not exactly," Mark started. "Snow," Sky groaned. The sound came out rougher than she intended, her throat raw. "I am educating myself," Snow said with wounded dignity. "You are being very reckless with your body, throwing yourself from perfectly good airplanes. Someone must learn to monitor your vital signs since you clearly won't." The cuff deflated with a hiss. Mark unwrapped it from her arm, the Velcro ripping loud in the small room. "Blood pressure's a little elevated, but that's normal after what you've been through. Heart rate's good. We're going to get some x-rays of those ribs, run a CT scan to rule out internal bleeding." "I'm fine," Sky said automatically. The words tasted like a lie. "You fell from the sky with a man strapped to you," Mark said, making notes on his tablet. The stylus tapped against the screen. "I've seen people come in worse shape from falling off stepladders, but we're checking anyway." George appeared in the doorway, somehow having acquired coffee and looking significantly more composed than he had at the drop zone. His suit was still grass-stained at the knees, but his hair was perfect again. "The Silvercrest family is on their way. ETA about 20 minutes. He glanced at Snow, then back to Sky. "I don't suppose you'd be willing to keep a low profile? They're going to have questions about—" He gestured vaguely at the leopard. "Ah, yes, I am understanding completely." Snow nodded sagely, his whiskers bobbing. A snow leopard with photography expertise and medical knowledge might be attracting unwanted attention from human media. Very inconvenient for all involved. I will be quiet like a regular animal who is not knowing about aperture settings and systolic pressure. "I'd appreciate it," George said. "But first—" Snow fixed George with an intense stare, his blue eyes unblinking. "You must be promising me something." "What?" George asked warily. "Do not call me a cat." Snow's whiskers twitched. "It makes me want to lecture you on taxonomy and species classification for minimum 1 hour, very detailed, with visual aids. So if you are wanting to keep me quiet, do not call me a cat." George's mouth twitched, fighting a smile. "I'll do my best." "Good. We are having an understanding." Snow settled on the bed next to Sky, tucking his paws under his chest with exaggerated dignity. "Now I am being a normal leopard who is not talking. See? Very convincing, yes?" "Very," George said, his voice suspiciously strained. Mark finished with the blood pressure cuff and made notes on his tablet. "Doctor will be in shortly. In the meantime, try to rest." He left, his shoes squeaking on the linoleum. Rest. Right. Skye closed her eyes, but her mind wouldn't stop spinning. The metal fragment, the camera mount, the fact that she'd almost killed a billionaire, then saved him, and now his entire family was about to descend on this hospital to thank her for... A commotion in the hallway made her eyes snap open. Voices. Multiple voices talking over each other. The sharp click of expensive heels on linoleum, quick and purposeful. "Called me from a board meeting to tell me my son fell from a plane. He's stable, Mrs. Silvercrest, the doctors assured us. I want to see him. Now." George straightened, shot Skye an apologetic look, and disappeared into the hallway. His voice joined the chorus, calm and professional. "Mrs. Silvercrest, if you'll just..." But the family wasn't waiting for permission. A woman swept into view past Skye's doorway, silver blonde hair in a perfect chignon, wearing a designer pantsuit that probably cost more than Skye's truck. Charcoal gray with subtle pinstripes, tailored to perfection. Her eyes were the same sharp gray as Soren's, and they locked onto the room next door with laser focus. "Which one is he in?" she demanded. "The one on the left, ma'am," a different nurse said, her voice placating. The woman, Mrs. Silvercrest, disappeared into Soren's room. More people followed. A man in his 70s with steel gray hair and a three-piece suit that screamed old money. Two younger people, maybe siblings, a woman in her late 20s with perfectly highlighted hair, and a man around Soren's age wearing designer jeans and an expensive watch. All of them moving with the kind of purpose that came from never being told no. Snow made a small sound. "Rich people," he whispered, leaning close to Skye's ear. "I'm telling you, they are walking differently than normal people. Very confident, like they are owning the floor beneath their feet, possibly the ceiling too." "Snow," Skye hissed. "I am just observing. For science," Snow said. Through the wall she could hear muffled conversation, the mother's voice, sharp with worry. A doctor's calmer tones, measured and professional. Then a different voice, rough, tired, male. Soren. He was awake. Skye's heart kicked against her bruised ribs, hard enough to make her wince. The conversation next door rose in volume, relief bleeding through every word, questions tumbling over each other, demands for explanation. She caught fragments. "Don't know what happened," and "lucky to be alive," and "where's George?" George's voice responding. "The woman who saved him is next door. Oh no." Skye sat up straighter, ignoring her body's protests. Her ribs screamed, her shoulder ground wrong in its socket. Snow's ears swiveled forward, tracking the voices. "They are sounding very grateful," he observed. "This is good, yes? You are liking gratitude and appreciation from attractive, wealthy people." "I don't want gratitude," Skye muttered. "I want to go home." "You are wanting to hide in the truck with vegetables and pretend this is not happening," Snow said. "Yes," Skye said. "Not possible. You are trapped." Snow sounded far too satisfied about this. "Now you must be social, with very handsome and photogenic people who are probably having excellent bone structure. You should ask them to model for you. Change from adventure photography to modeling photography. Pays better, I'm sure." Less falling from Skye. Footsteps approached, multiple sets, moving in formation like a well-trained unit. The Silvercrest family appeared in her doorway like a perfectly coordinated invasion force. Mrs. Silvercrest entered first, those gray eyes sweeping the room and landing on Skye with an intensity that made her want to check if her suppressant bracelet was showing. Her gaze was thorough, assessing, taking in the hospital gown, the bruises already forming on Skye's arms, the way she was holding her shoulder. It wasn't hidden under the hospital gown they'd made her change into. "You're the one," Mrs. Silvercrest said. Not a question. A statement of fact. Yes?" Skye managed. The woman crossed the space in 3 strides and did something Sky completely didn't expect. She hugged her. It wasn't a polite hug. It was the kind of hug that came from genuine emotion, tight enough that Sky's ribs protested and her breath caught. The woman's perfume was subtle, something expensive and floral that probably had a French name. Her arms were surprisingly strong. "Thank you," Mrs. Silvercrest said against her shoulder, voice breaking. The words came out thick, choked. "Thank you for bringing my son home." Sky's arms came up automatically, awkwardly patting the woman's back. Over her shoulder she could see the rest of the family crowding in. The older man, Soren's father probably, had his hand over his mouth, eyes bright with unshed tears. The younger 2 were staring at her like she'd personally carried the son back into the sky. Sky's voice came out strangled, compressed by the hug and her own confusion. Anyone would have... No. Mrs. Silvercrest pulled back, her hands gripping Sky's shoulders. Her fingers pressed into muscle, anchoring. No, they wouldn't have. George explained what you did. Diving after him, deploying your chute with his weight. That landing. Her voice cracked, broke completely. You could have died. "Mom, you're crushing her," a new voice said from the doorway. The voice was rough, tired, but steady. Male. Soren. He was upright, leaning heavily on a nurse who looked like she was reconsidering every life choice that had led to this moment. A bandage wrapped around his head, white gauze stark against dark hair. His face was pale, gray undertones beneath his skin, but he was conscious, alert, and looking directly at her. Their eyes met, gray to brown. For a moment that stretched too long, nobody spoke. The hospital sounds faded. The beeping monitors, the distant conversations, the hum of fluorescent lights. Everything narrowed to this. His eyes on hers, recognition sparking in the gray depths, despite the drugs, despite the confusion. Snow broke the silence. "You are being very tall," he announced from the bed, abandoning his quiet leopard act entirely. His tail swished once. "This is good for reaching high shelves, I am thinking. Also for seeing over crowds. Very practical." Every head swiveled to stare at the snow leopard. "Did that cat just—" The younger male sibling started, his voice pitching up. "Leopard," Snow corrected with icy dignity. "I am being a snow leopard. Very rare, very distinguished. Also, yes, I am talking, which you are noticing because you are not being completely unobservant. Gold star for you." He turned his blue eyes on Soren. "You are Soren? The person who was falling like a rock with very poor form?" Soren's mouth twitched, fighting a smile. "That's me." "You should be thanking Sky properly. She is saving your life despite you being very heavy and not helping at all with the parachute steering. Dead weight. Very inconsiderate," Snow said, his tail lashing once for emphasis. "Snow," Sky hissed. "What? I am being honest. He contributed nothing to the descent except additional gravitational pull." Snow sniffed, whiskers twitching with disdain. "Though I suppose being unconscious is decent excuse." Mrs. Silvercrest made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Her hand pressed to her mouth. "He's adorable." "Please don't encourage him," Sky said weakly. George appeared behind Soren, slightly out of breath, his tie loosened. "I tried to warn them about the leopard. It's fine." Soren's voice was rough, like he'd been breathing sand, like his throat was raw from intubation or vomiting or just the trauma of nearly dying. He took a careful step forward, the nurse hovering anxiously at his elbow. "Ms. Thornfield." "Sky," she said automatically. "Sky." The way he said her name did something strange to her chest. His voice dropped lower on the second syllable, intimate somehow despite the audience. "I don't remember the fall or the landing. I remember jumping and then waking up here." His eyes held hers, steady despite the drugs dulling his pupils. "But George filled me in on what happened. I just wanted to say thank you. In person." "I'm just glad you're okay," Sky said. The words felt inadequate, too small for what had happened between them. "He is having a concussion," Snow contributed helpfully, his accent thickening. "Also possible whiplash. Also he is not supposed to be standing up right now, I am thinking, yes?" He fixed the nurse with a pointed look. He insisted, the nurse said wearily, her hand still hovering near Soren's elbow. Said he needed to thank her in person. Romantic, Snow observed. Foolish, but romantic. I am approving. George cleared his throat, looking up from his cell phone with an expression like a man about to jump off a cliff. His thumb hovered over the screen. Actually, there's something you all should know. Everyone turned to look at him. The room went still. Soren's wolf claimed Sky as his mate, George said. The words dropped into the silence like stones into water. The room went very, very quiet. Sky's brain short-circuited. What? George continued, not looking at her, shooting Soren an apologetic look instead. It's supposed to be a secret, but I figured since the family's all here already, they should know. Soren's face went carefully blank, then he sighed, a long, tired exhale that made his shoulders drop. You're a real spoilsport, George. He looked at his family, his expression resigned. Could you all give us some space? I'll explain everything later. But Soren's mother had already transformed. Her entire face lit up with delight, tears forgotten, grief replaced by joy so bright it was almost painful to witness. This is wonderful news. You're coming to our pack gathering, dear. Please say yes. Mrs. Silvercrest, Sky started. Lena. Call me Lena. The woman's hands found Sky's again, squeezing. Her grip was warm, eager. Lena, Sky tried again, pulling her hands back gently. I haven't exactly— Mom, please. Soren's voice was gentle but firm, cutting through his mother's enthusiasm like a knife through butter. Don't pressure her. This is exactly why I didn't tell anyone earlier. Oh! Lena's hand flew to her mouth. I'm sorry. No pressure, of course, Sky. Take all the time you need. But her smile didn't fade. It stretched wider, eyes bright with unshed happy tears. I'll give you both space. This is the best news I've had in a decade. I should go home and start preparing. She turned and swept out, the rest of the family following in her wake like ducklings after their mother. The younger woman squeezed Sky's hand as she passed. Thank you for saving my brother, she whispered. Then they were gone, footsteps echoing down the hallway. Soren gave George a look that could have melted steel. His jaw was tight, a muscle jumping in his cheek. George had the grace to look sheepish as he followed the Silvercrest family out, shoulders hunched. I'll give you privacy, he muttered. The nurse lingered in the doorway. Mr. Silvercrest, you really should be resting. Could we have some privacy, please? Soren asked. It wasn't quite a command, but the nurse responded to the authority in his voice anyway. She nodded and left, closing the door behind her with a soft click. Snow hopped onto Sky's bed, settled at the foot, and tucked his paws under his chest. I am staying, he announced, as chaperone. Very proper. Soren lowered himself carefully into the chair next to her bed, moving like everything hurt. His hand gripped the armrest, knuckles white. The hospital gown gaped at his shoulder, showing the edge of a bruise. He cleared his throat. I'm sorry. I know this is awkward. George is my beta, and we're under pressure from the pack. They want me to choose a mate. I've been stalling for as long as I can remember. Why? Sky asked. The question came out sharper than she intended. I believe in true mates. I haven't met that person yet. He said it simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Or I hadn't until— Your wolf claimed me when you were unconscious, Sky said. Soren blinked. Sorry, what? Your wolf must have wanted a mate so badly that when you weren't in control of your mind, it claimed me, Sky said. The words tasted bitter, wrong. That's not really how that works, Soren said slowly. It is from what I saw, and I can't possibly be your mate. Sky pulled up her sleeve, showing him the suppressant bracelet. The metal band caught the fluorescent light, dull and utilitarian. Personal reasons, but the point is, your wolf can't possibly see mine, let alone claim it. He stared at the bracelet for a long moment. His eyes tracked over the inscription, suppressed, stamped into the metal. Then he nodded slowly. That's fair. He sat back, wincing as the movement pulled something in his back. I only have one theory, and I know you won't like it. Hit me, Sky said. My wolf can see what I can't. When I'm in control of my mind, my wolf has very little say in anything. It's there, but quiet, obedient. He met her eyes. So when it was free, when I was unconscious, it might have seen your wolf, even through the suppressant. He paused. The only way to prove whether this is true, whether my wolf really sees yours as mate, is if you let me see your wolf too. But I respect that you're under suppressant for a reason, and I won't force it. That would be unnatural. He leaned forward slightly, elbows on his knees. Our wolves have different ways of viewing things, but our human hearts have feelings that wolves never understand. You believe there are fated mates who don't love each other, Skye said slowly, working through the implications, and people who choose to love without being fated mates. He smiled, a real smile this time, warm despite his exhaustion. Yes, exactly. And I think human feelings should come first. You suppressed your wolf, so I think you'd understand. I do, and I agree with you. Human love first. I mean, if you love your fated mate, that's ideal. But we don't live in an ideal world, do we? Skye said. He nodded, something like relief crossing his face. So what do we do now? Skye asked. He chuckled, the sound rough but genuine. How about we game the wolf system? You help me out first. Come to our gathering as my chosen mate. I'm guessing George spilled the beans early because one of my cousins was in the room, the one my uncle favors for Alpha if I don't fulfill my mate duty. George wanted him to report back that I have a chosen mate, and my uncle will be at the gathering. And what does Skye get in return? Snow asked, his voice sharp. Skye glared at him. Snow sat up primly, his tail wrapping around his paws. I know you don't like negotiating because you are antisocial and prefer vegetables to people, but since no one is advocating for you, I will have to do it as your emotional support animal and representative, self-appointed 3 seconds ago. Soren chuckled, then pressed his hand to his ribs, clearly regretting the movement. I hate to admit it, but Snow has a point. He looked at Skye, his gray eyes serious. In return, I'll help you with whatever reason makes you wear that suppressant bracelet. To whatever extent you're comfortable with, of course. Skye started. She is saying yes, Snow announced, standing up on the bed. At least to the pack gathering. No harm in attending one gathering. I am assuming there will be good food and excellent photography opportunities, possibly dramatic lighting during the full moon. Soren's eyebrows rose. Full moon? Is it not being at the full moon? Snow asked innocently, his whiskers twitching. Pack gatherings are always being at full moon. Very atmospheric. Good for my portfolio. Skye dropped her face into her hands, her palms pressed against her eyes, blocking out the fluorescent lights. I'm going to regret this. Probably, Soren agreed, but he was smiling. The expression softened his whole face, made him look younger despite the bandage. But at least you'll have good company. Snow preened, puffing out his chest. Yes, I love excellent company. I meant Skye, Soren said. Oh, Snow sniffed, deflating slightly. Well, obviously. Chapter 4. The road to the sanctuary wound through mountains that looked like they'd been painted with autumn. Gold aspens shimmering against dark pine, ridges cutting sharp lines against sky so blue it hurt to look at. Skye pressed her forehead against the passenger window of Soren's car, watching the landscape roll past. For the first time in years, she wasn't reaching for a camera. No viewfinder between her and the world. Just the glass, cool against her skin, and the view. This is being very beautiful, Snow said from the back seat. He'd claimed the entire bench, sprawled like a furry emperor, his nose pressed to his own window. Look at those trees, the composition, the light. Skye, you are seeing this, yes? I'm seeing it, she said. Without the camera, Snow added, his voice softer. This is good. You are experiencing the world instead of documenting it. Very healthy. I approve. Soren glanced at her from the driver's seat, a smile tugging at his mouth. Snow's right. When's the last time you just looked at something without photographing it? I don't remember, Skye admitted. The car handled the mountain curves like it was gliding on rails, silent except for the hum of tires on asphalt. Everything about the car whispered money. The leather seats that smelled like expensive things, the touchscreen dashboard, the way it accelerated without sound. I'm surprised you drive yourself, Skye said. Soren's eyebrows rose. Why? I don't know. Billionaire. I figured you'd have a driver, she said. I like driving. He downshifted for a curve, his hands easy on the wheel. Gives me control over something, at least. Unlike your family, Sky said. Unlike my family, he agreed. She shifted in her seat, trying to find a position that didn't make her ribs scream. Everything still hurt, a deep, grinding ache that the hospital painkillers barely touched. Her shoulder was worse. The joint felt wrong, like something was grinding where it shouldn't be. You're still in pain, Soren observed. I'm fine, Sky said automatically. You are not fine, Snow called from the back. You are being very stubborn and refusing to take off the suppressant so your wolf can help heal you. Meanwhile, Soren over here is looking like he never fell from a plane at all. It was true. Soren's bandage was gone, replaced by a small butterfly bandage over his temple. The cut had already scabbed over. His color was back, no more gray undertones. He moved normally, no stiffness, no hesitation, less than 24 hours since impact, and his body had already knitted itself back together. Because his wolf could heal him. The sanctuary appeared around the next curve. Stone pillars marked the entrance, massive things, rough-hewn and ancient-looking, with the Silvercrest family crest carved into each one. A wolf's head, mouth open in a howl, surrounded by stylized mountains. The gates were open, wrought iron scrollwork that probably cost more than most houses. The driveway stretched ahead, lined with more aspens. Through the trees, Sky caught glimpses of buildings. A main house that looked more like a castle, outbuildings scattered across the property, and beyond it all, mountains rising like guardians. Wow, she breathed. Wait until you see the inside, Soren said. This is where you are growing up? Snow asked, his nose pressed to the window so hard it left smudges. This is not a house, this is a movie set, a very dramatic one with excellent production values. My great-great-grandfather built it, Soren said. Back when having a mountain sanctuary wasn't considered excessive. And now? Sky asked. Now it's just embarrassing, Soren said, but he smiled. But useful for pack gatherings. The main house came into full view as they rounded the last curve. 3 stories of stone and timber with floor-to-ceiling windows reflecting the mountains. A wraparound porch, chimneys climbing the walls, gardens that probably required a full-time staff to maintain. People were already there, scattered across the lawn, sitting on the porch, moving in and out of the house, setting up tables, hanging lights, preparing for tomorrow night's gathering. Soren parked in a circular driveway that could have accommodated 10 cars. A fountain stood in the center, more wolves cast in bronze frozen mid-leap. Subtle, Sky said. My grandfather had it commissioned, Soren said. He was very proud of his wolf. I am thinking it is being tacky, Snow announced, but also impressive. Impressive tackiness, the best kind. The car doors opened automatically. Sky climbed out, her body protesting every movement. The air smelled different here, pine and clean water and something else, something wild underneath the expensive landscaping. Pack scent, dozens of wolves marking this territory as theirs. Her suppressant bracelet felt suddenly very obvious on her wrist. Soren! Lena Silvercrest appeared on the porch, arms already spread for a hug. She'd traded the power suit for designer jeans and a cashmere sweater. You're here, and Sky! Her smile could have powered the entire sanctuary. Welcome, welcome. Come inside, please. Everyone's dying to meet you properly. Everyone is very enthusiastic, Snow observed, hopping out of the car. I am approving of enthusiasm. It means good food and attention. Lena's eyes landed on the leopard. Her hands flew to her chest. And Snow, George told me about you, but, oh, you're even more beautiful in person. Thank you, Snow said, preening. I am knowing this, but it is nice to hear anyway. Lena laughed, a genuine, delighted sound. Come in, all of you. We're just finishing setup for tomorrow, but there's lunch ready if you're hungry. The house swallowed them whole. Inside was all exposed timber beams and stone fireplaces big enough to stand in. The furniture looked comfortable despite being obviously expensive. Deep couches, thick rugs, family photos covering every surface. The kind of house that had been lived in for generations, not just decorated. It felt like home. Skye's chest tightened. She couldn't remember the last time she'd been somewhere that felt like home. "The guest rooms are upstairs," Lena was saying, leading them through the great room toward a massive staircase. "Skye, we've put you in the east wing. It has the best view of the mountains." "Snow, I wasn't sure of your preferences, but we can set up a space wherever you'd like." "I am staying with Skye," Snow announced, "for moral support and also because I am not trusting her to not have panic attack alone in Fancy Room." Several people in the great room had stopped what they were doing to stare, not just at Snow, though the talking leopard definitely drew attention, but at Skye, assessing her, measuring her against whatever standards they used for their alpha's potential mate. A young woman, late 20s, blonde, perfect makeup, approached with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Soren, you didn't mention your mate was so outdoorsy." The word landed like an insult wrapped in politeness. "Skye saved my life, Melissa," Soren said, his voice cooling several degrees. "She's a professional photographer and adventure sports expert. And yes, outdoorsy." "Of course," Melissa's smile sharpened. "It's very romantic." A few people laughed. The tension broke slightly. Soren's hand found the small of Skye's back. A gentle pressure, grounding. "Let's get you settled. You need to rest." "I am needing lunch," Snow announced. "Preferably vegan lunch. I am having dietary restrictions." "The leopard's vegan?" someone asked, disbelieving. "The leopard has a name and excellent hearing," Snow said, turning to fix them with a stare. "And yes, I am vegan. I am overcoming my biological programming through moral conviction and stubbornness. It is very impressive. You should be taking notes." More laughter, genuine this time. Lena beamed. "I'll make sure the kitchen knows. We can do a beautiful roasted vegetable plate, quinoa, some grilled portobello." "You are being my favorite person here," Snow told her solemnly. "I am already loving this family." The guest room was ridiculous. King-size bed with a down comforter that looked like a cloud. Windows spanning the entire eastern wall, framing the mountains in glass. An ensuite bathroom with a soaking tub and heated floors. Fresh flowers on the nightstand. "This is being excessive," Snow said, immediately claiming the bed. He circled 3 times before settling in the exact center. "But also wonderful. I am conflicted." Skye stood at the window, looking out at the mountains. The view was perfect, ridges layered in shades of blue and purple, the sun starting its descent toward the peaks. Her ribs ached. Her shoulder throbbed. Her suppressant bracelet felt like it was burning against her skin. "You are needing to rest," Snow said from the bed. "I need to talk to Soren," Skye said. "About what?" Snow asked. "About the accident." Skye turned from the window. "About what really happened. He deserves to know." "He deserves to be alive," Snow countered. "Which he is because of you. The how is being less important than the outcome." "Snow." A knock on the door interrupted them. "Come in," Skye called. Soren entered, carrying a tray with sandwiches and tea. "Mom insisted. Said you need to eat before the pack descends for dinner." He set the tray on the small table by the window. "How are you feeling?" "Fine," Skye said. "Liar," Snow said from the bed. "She is being in pain but refusing to admit it because she is having pride issues." "Thanks, Snow," Skye muttered. Soren's expression softened. "You could take it off, you know, the suppressant. Just long enough to heal." "No," Skye said, too quickly, too sharp. Soren held up his hands. "But okay, no pressure." An awkward silence filled the room. Snow made a pointed sound and hopped off the bed. "I am going to explore this very large house and find the kitchen. You two are talking like adults, probably about important things. I am being elsewhere." He trotted out, tail high. The door clicked shut behind him. "I need to tell you something," Skye said. Soren settled into the chair by the window, gesturing for her to sit on the bed. "Okay?" She didn't sit, couldn't. "About the accident, about why you went unconscious." His eyebrows drew together. "The doctor said head trauma from impact." "Before impact," Skye interrupted. "Before I caught you." She pulled in a breath. My camera mount broke in the wind. The whole housing tore off. It was spinning through the air, and it went straight toward you. She met his eyes. My equipment is what hit you, what knocked you out. I nearly killed you, and then I saved me, Soren finished. He was smiling, actually smiling. Did you hear what I just said? Sky demanded. I heard you. He stood, crossing the space between them in 2 strides. Your equipment broke in freak wind conditions. It hit me by accident. And then you saw I was in trouble, and you dove after me, caught me, deployed your chute with double the weight, and brought us both down alive. His hand found her uninjured shoulder, warm through her shirt. That's not nearly killing me, Sky. That's saving my life. But it was an accident, he said firmly. A very lucky accident, actually. Lucky? Sky stared at him. You fell from a plane unconscious and met my mate because of it, Soren said. His hand slid from her shoulder to her jaw, thumb brushing her cheekbone. Even if it's complicated, even if we're gaming the system, I wouldn't have met you otherwise. The room was too quiet, too small. Sky could feel her heart hammering against her damaged ribs, could smell Soren's scent, firewood, ash, and something darker, richer. Could see the way his eyes had darkened, pupils expanding. He was going to kiss her. Soren, she whispered. Tell me to stop, he said, leaning closer. If you don't want this, tell me to stop. She should stop him. This was a fake arrangement, a business deal. Gaming the system, he'd said. But he smelled right, and his hand on her face was gentle despite the calluses. And her wolf, buried, suppressed, silent for 3 years, stirred. Just barely. But enough. His lips were an inch from hers when Snow's voice echoed from downstairs. Fire! There is being fire! They broke apart. Soren was out the door before Sky could process what was happening. She followed, her body screaming protests, running after him down the hall and the stairs. The back lawn was chaos. Smoke billowed from one of the outbuildings, an old barn maybe, or a storage shed. Flames licked up the wooden walls, orange and gold against the afternoon sky. People were running, shouting, grabbing hoses and fire extinguishers. The children! Someone screamed. The kids were playing in the hayloft. Soren didn't hesitate. He ran toward the building, stripping off his shirt as he moved. Sky ran after him, her mind already calculating. Structure integrity, oxygen supply, escape routes. Adventure sports training kicking in. How many kids? Soren shouted at the man trying to spray the flames with a garden hose. 5. All under 10. The man's voice cracked. The stairs collapsed. They're trapped on the 2nd level. The barn was old wood, dry as kindling. The fire was spreading fast, eating through support beams. Sky could see the structure starting to sag, could hear the groan of stressed timber. Minutes before collapse. Maybe less. There's a window on the north side, Sky said, coming up beside Soren. 2nd floor. We can get them out that way. Soren looked at her. You can't. You're injured. I've done high-altitude rescues in worse condition, Sky said. We don't have time to argue. You go in the front, I'll go around back. We meet at the window. This is insane, Soren said. Probably, Sky agreed, but those kids don't have time for sanity. For a moment, their eyes locked. Then Soren nodded. Okay, let's go. They split up. Sky ran around the building, her ribs shrieking with every step. The north side was less engulfed. The fire hadn't reached this wall yet. The window was maybe 15 feet up, narrow, but a kid could fit through it. An adult could fit through it. She grabbed a ladder someone had dropped, hauled it upright, leaned it against the wall. Her shoulder ground wrong, pain shooting down her arm. She ignored it and started climbing. The heat hit her before she reached the window. A wall of scorching air that made her lungs burn. Smoke poured through the broken glass, thick and black. Inside, she could hear crying, coughing, terrified children. Sky climbed through the window. The hayloft was an inferno. Flames crawled up the far wall, consuming hay bales and timber with hungry enthusiasm. The floor was already starting to sag, boards cracking under the heat. 5 children huddled in the corner, the farthest point from the fire, but rapidly becoming just as dangerous as the flames. Sky! Soren's voice came from below, from the ground level. I'm coming up! "No stairs!" she shouted back, coughing. The smoke was thick, acrid, tasting like chemicals and burning wood. "I see that!" Something crashed below. Then Soren appeared, climbing up through a hole in the floor where the stairs used to be. He'd shifted, not fully, but enough. His eyes glowed amber, his hands tipped with claws that let him dig into wood and pull himself up. The children saw him and screamed, "It's okay." Sky moved toward them, crouching low where the air was clearer. "We're here to help. We're getting you out." "The Alpha," the oldest kid, maybe 9, whispered. Recognition cutting through fear. "That's right," Soren said, his voice rougher with the partial shift. "And I need you all to be brave for just a few more minutes. Can you do that?" The kids nodded, eyes wide. "Good." Soren grabbed the nearest child, a girl, maybe 6. "Sky, window, now." They worked like a machine. Soren passed children to Sky. Sky carried them to the window and handed them down to adults who'd gathered below with blankets and arms ready to catch. 1 child, 2, 3, 4. The building groaned. A support beam cracked with a sound like a gunshot. "We need to go," Sky shouted. 1 child left, the smallest, a boy, maybe 4, trapped behind a fallen beam that was starting to smolder. Soren grabbed the beam, hauled it up with strength that was definitely wolf-enhanced. "Get him!" Sky grabbed the boy, hoisted him up. Her shoulders screamed. Her ribs felt like they were tearing. She ignored it all and ran for the window. The floor was cracking, flames roaring, heat like being inside an oven. She thrust the boy through the window into waiting hands below. "Sky, move!" Soren was right behind her. She turned to climb through the window. Her suppressant bracelet caught on a nail protruding from the window frame. The metal snapped. The bracelet fell, tumbling down into the flames below. And her wolf woke up. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't gradual. It was like a door slamming open after being locked for 3 years. Her wolf surging forward with 3 years of suppressed instincts all crashing through at once. "Mate!" her wolf howled. Sky gasped, the sensation overwhelming. Her senses exploded. She could smell everything, hear everything, feel everything. The fire was louder, the smoke thicker. And Soren smelled like home, like safety, like everything her wolf had been screaming for. His wolf answered hers. "Mate." Their eyes met across the burning hayloft. His had gone full amber, glowing in the smoke. She could see the exact moment he understood what had happened. "Later," he said, his voice rough. "We survive first." A creaking sound, deeper, more ominous than before. "The hose!" Snow's voice from below. "I am bringing the hose." The snow leopard appeared in the window, dragging a fire hose that was bigger than he was. Water sprayed everywhere, over the ledge, into the burning barn, all over Snow. "I am being very heroic," Snow announced. "Someone should be filming this. I am looking very dramatic." "Snow, get back!" Sky shouted. "I am rescuing you," Snow insisted, still wrestling with the hose. Water arced through the air, hitting the support beam above them. Steam hissed. The fire recoiled slightly. Just enough. "Go!" Soren shoved Sky toward the window. "Now!" She climbed through, her newly awakened wolf making her faster, stronger. Her ribs still hurt, but already she could feel them starting to knit. Her shoulders settled back into place with a grinding sensation that would have made her scream if she weren't so focused on not falling. Soren was right behind her. They hit the ground together, rolling clear as the building collapsed inward with a roar like a dying beast. Hands grabbed them, pulled them further from the flames. Blankets appeared. Someone was shouting about calling emergency services. The 5 children were crying but alive, clustered together under someone's watch. Sky lay on the grass, coughing, her wolf still surging through her veins with disorienting intensity. Every sense was cranked to maximum. She could hear individual heartbeats, could smell pack bonds and family ties, could feel the earth beneath her like she'd never felt it before. Snow landed on her chest with a wet thump. He was soaked, fur plastered to his body, looking like a drowned rat. "We are alive," he announced. "I am being very brave, also very wet, but mostly brave." Soren appeared above her, his face streaked with soot, his eyes still glowing amber. He knelt beside her, his hand finding hers. The bond snapped into place. Not a claiming. They'd already done that. Their wolves had already chosen. But acknowledgement. Recognition. The full weight of the mate bond settling over them like a blanket that was both comforting and terrifying. "You okay?" he asked softly. "My bracelet broke," Sky said. Unnecessarily. Obviously. He could feel what had happened. She could see it in his eyes. "I know," Soren said. "My wolf called you mate, and yours claimed mine." His thumb brushed over her knuckles, the touch sending sparks through her newly sensitive nerves. "We'll figure it out. Later. Right now." He looked around at the gathered pack, at his family rushing toward them with relief written across every face. "Right now we just saved 5 kids and you're alive and that's enough." It should have been enough. But Samuel Silvercrest was pushing through the crowd, his expression thunderous. The uncle who wanted Soren's cousin to be alpha, his eyes locked on Sky with naked hostility. "This is her doing," Samuel said, his voice carrying across the lawn. "The outsider brings disaster." Soren stood, placing himself between Sky and his uncle. "She helped save those children. After her presence drew calamity to our sanctuary," Samuel said. "The fire started right after she arrived. Coincidence?" "Yes," Soren said flatly. "Actually, the wiring in that barn has been faulty for months. You know this. We talked about it at the last pack meeting." "Convenient excuse," Samuel said. Lena appeared, her face pale, but her voice steady. "Samuel, enough. Soren and Sky just risked their lives for our pack's children. Show some gratitude." "Gratitude?" Samuel's laugh was harsh. "For what? For a suppressed wolf playing hero? For an alpha who chooses a mate outside the pack without consulting?" Sky stood. Her wolf gave her strength despite the pain, despite the exhaustion. She crossed the space between herself and Soren, wrapped her hand around the back of his neck, and kissed him. Not gentle, not tentative. A claiming kiss, a declaration kiss, a "fuck you, I'm not going anywhere" kiss. Soren made a surprised sound, then kissed her back. His arms came around her waist, careful of her injuries, pulling her closer. The bond hummed between them, recognition and relief, and something that felt dangerously like joy. When they broke apart, the entire pack was staring. Sky looked directly at Samuel. "I'm his mate. My wolf and his wolf chose each other. If you have a problem with that, take it up with the moon." "I'm done with politics." Samuel's face went red, then purple. He opened his mouth. "Uncle." Soren's voice cut through whatever Samuel was about to say. "Sky is my mate. That's not up for debate. Not now, not ever. If you can't accept that, you're welcome to leave my family's sanctuary." The challenge was clear, unmistakable. Samuel looked between them, his jaw working. Then he turned and stalked away, shoving through the crowd. Silence. Then Lena started clapping. Others joined in. Applause spreading through the gathered pack, turning into cheers. Relief and acceptance and celebration all mixed together. Sky looked up at Soren. His eyes had faded back to gray, but they were warm, soft, full of something that made her chest tight. "That was," he started. "Necessary," Sky finished. "I was going to say perfect," Soren said. Snow appeared between them, still dripping. "I am also thinking it was perfect. Very dramatic. Good timing. Excellent use of public displays of affection for political purposes." He looked at Sky. "You are learning. I am being proud." "Thanks, Snow," Sky muttered. "Also, your wolf is being awake now, yes?" Snow said. "This is good. Means you will heal properly and stop complaining about your ribs." "I don't complain," Sky said. "You complain constantly," Snow said, but quietly, to yourself, while looking tragic. It is very annoying. Soren laughed, a real laugh, full and genuine. "I like him." "Everyone does," Sky said. "It's his superpower." Snow shook his fur, water droplets flying everywhere. "Now can someone please do me a favor and towel dry me? Blow dry would be preferable, but I don't want to ask for too much." A cousin picked him up. A few moments later, a hairdryer's blowing sound echoed out, and louder than that, if Sky wasn't mistaken, that was Snow purring. He purred like a cat. The crowd was dispersing now, people moving to check on the children, to assess the fire damage, to get back to their lives. But Lena lingered, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Thank you," she said quietly, looking at Sky. "For saving those children, for saving my son." She pulled Sky into another hug, gentler this time, mindful of injuries. "You're packed now, whether Samuel likes it or not." Something in Sky's chest cracked. Not broke, opened, like a door she'd kept locked was finally swinging wide. "Thank you," she whispered back. That night, after showers and borrowed clothes and a dinner where she'd been welcomed like family, Soren found her on the porch. The moon was rising, nearly full, just one night away from perfect roundness. It painted the mountains silver, turned the sanctuary into something magical. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey," Sky said. He sat beside her on the porch swing, the chains creaking. For a moment they just existed in silence, comfortable, easy. The bond hummed between them, settling into something that felt right. "You're Wolf," Soren said finally. "How does it feel?" "Overwhelming," Sky admitted, "like everything's too loud and too bright and too much." She paused. "But also right. Like I'd been living underwater and finally surfaced." "Do you regret it?" Soren asked. "The bracelet breaking?" Sky thought about it. About the 3 years suppressed. About the reasons she'd chosen to lock her wolf away. About the woman she'd been versus the woman sitting here now. "Ask me tomorrow," she said. "Fair enough?" Soren's hand found hers, fingers lacing together. "For what it's worth, I'm glad. Your wolf and mine, they fit." "They do," Sky agreed. "And we?" Soren asked. "Do we fit?" Sky turned to look at him. Really look at him. This man who'd fallen from a plane unconscious and woken up in her arms. Who'd agreed to game the system and ended up being exactly what her wolf needed. Who'd run into a burning building without hesitation because children needed saving. Who was looking at her like she was something precious. "I think we might," she said. "But ask me again tomorrow." Soren smiled. Then he leaned in and kissed her. Not like this afternoon, not urgent or claiming or political. This was soft, exploring, a question and an answer and a promise all wrapped in the pressure of lips against lips. Sky kissed him back, her free hand coming up to cup his jaw. He tasted like the wine from dinner and something uniquely him. The bond thrummed with approval, her wolf practically purring. Chapter 5. Soren woke to sunlight streaming through the guest room window and reached for Sky before his eyes fully opened. His hand found empty sheets, cold sheets. He sat up, the bond in his chest pulling tight, searching. Nothing. No warmth, no presence, just absence where she should have been. "Sky?" His voice came out rough with sleep. Silence. He threw off the covers and crossed to the bathroom. Empty. Her borrowed clothes from last night were gone. The towel she'd used hung neatly on the rack, already dry. She'd been gone for hours. Soren's wolf surged forward, frantic. "Mate! Find mate!" He pulled on jeans and a shirt, his hands shaking. The bond stretched between them like a rope pulled too tight, giving him direction but no details. Distance. She was putting distance between them, running. The realization hit him. She was running from him, from the pack, from everything they'd found last night. His wolf howled inside his chest, the sound so desperate it made his ribs ache. He grabbed his phone and called George. "It's 6 a.m. George's voice was thick with sleep. "This better be—" "She's gone," Soren said. "Sky's gone." Silence. Then the rustle of sheets, footsteps. George's voice sharpened. "Gone how? Gone where?" "I don't know." Soren was already moving, taking the stairs 2 at a time. "The bond's still there, but she's far. Hours away already." "I'm coming to you," George said. "Don't do anything stupid." The great room was empty. The kitchen showed signs of early morning activity. Coffee made, a single mug in the sink. He touched the mug. Cold. She'd left before dawn. His mother appeared in the doorway, already dressed, her hair perfect despite the early hour. "Soren? What's wrong?" "Nothing," he said automatically. "Liar." Lena crossed the room and took the mug from his hands, setting it aside. "You look like someone tore your heart out. Where's Sky?" "I don't—" His voice cracked. "She left." "Left where?" Lena asked. "Just left. Gone. She—" He pulled his hand through his hair, the gesture rough. "I don't understand. Last night was perfect." The bond snapped into place. "She kissed me. We talked about tomorrow and she just ran," Lena finished softly. Soren nodded, not trusting his voice. His mother was quiet for a moment. Then she moved to the coffee maker and poured 2 fresh mugs, handing one to him. "Sit." "Mom, I need to—" "Sit," she repeated, her voice carrying that tone that meant he was still her son, alpha or not. He sat. Lena settled across from him, wrapping her hands around her mug. "Tell me everything. The truth? No alpha posturing, no pride. What happened?" So he told her. The fake arrangement, the mate bond revealing itself when Sky's bracelet broke, the kiss on the porch, the way she'd looked at the sanctuary like she was trying to memorize it, like she knew she was leaving. "And you didn't think to ask why she was suppressed in the first place?" Lena asked when he finished. "I respected her privacy," Soren said. "Privacy is one thing, willful ignorance is another." His mother's voice was gentle but firm. "Soren, that girl has been running from something for a long time. I saw it in her eyes yesterday, the way she looked at our family, at the children she saved, at you. She wanted it so badly it hurt to watch." "Then why did she leave?" The words came out raw. "Because wanting something and believing you deserve it are 2 different things," Lena said. She reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "Whatever happened in her past, whatever made her suppress her wolf, she hasn't made peace with it, and until she does, she won't be ready for a future. Not with you, not with anyone." Soren's throat tightened. "So what do I do?" "You love her?" Lena asked. Soren looked down at his coffee, at the dark surface reflecting the kitchen lights. His wolf was still howling, still desperate, still convinced that Sky was his entire world. "Yes," he whispered. "Then you go after her," Lena said simply. "If she's truly your soulmate, if this is real and not just wolf instinct, then you earn it. You fight for her. You show her that whatever she's running from, she doesn't have to face it alone." George arrived 20 minutes later, laptop in hand, looking like he'd thrown on clothes in the dark. "I've been trying to track her. Credit cards, phone, anything. She's not using any of it." "She knows how to disappear," Soren said. The realization tasted bitter. "She's been doing it for 3 years." "There has to be something," George said, opening his laptop on the kitchen table. "Background check, previous addresses, family. I ran all of that when she first saved you," George admitted, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Basic due diligence. Sky Thornfield, photographer, current address listed as a P.O. box in Boulder. Before that—" He paused, frowning. "Nothing. She appears in the system 3 years ago. No previous employment, no previous residence, no family listed." "She changed her name," Soren said. "Or she's using a fake identity," George said. Either way, whoever she was before 3 years ago, she buried it deep. Soren's wolf paced inside his chest, frantic and useless. "There has to be something. Snow. He knows her. He'd know where—" A small voice interrupted from the doorway. "Alpha Soren?" They all turned. One of the children from yesterday stood there, the oldest, the 9-year-old girl who'd recognized Soren in the burning barn. She was clutching something in her hands, her eyes red from crying. "Maya?" Lena stood immediately. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" "The leopard," Maya said, her voice wobbling. "He came to my room this morning, really early, before the sun came up." She held out what she was holding, a piece of paper torn from a notebook. "He asked me to write down this for him and give the note to you." Soren crossed the room in 3 strides and took the paper. "Alpha Soren. Sky is going to fight Mad Dog. I am telling her this is very bad idea, but she is not listening because she is being stubborn and thinking she must protect everyone. She is wrong, but also very determined. I am going with her because someone must document her terrible life choices, and also I am her emotional support animal. Please come quickly. I am thinking this will end very badly without large, intimidating alpha wolves. Snow P.S. I am leaving my vegan cookbook on kitchen counter. Please tell your mother the mushroom bourguignon recipe on page 47 is excellent. Mad Dog? George said, reading over Soren's shoulder. That's not a name. A nickname, Soren said. The words felt heavy. Or a warning. He looked at Maya. Did Snow say anything else? Maya nodded, tears spilling over. He said Sky was going to face the bad thing from her old life. He said she thinks if she doesn't, the bad thing will hurt everyone here. He said she's wrong, but she won't believe him. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He said she's scared. Something cold settled in Soren's chest. George, search for high-ranking alphas in the western region with animal-related nicknames, violent ones. George's fingers were already moving across the keyboard. Narrowing by reputation, pack leadership. What? Soren demanded. George turned the laptop around. The screen showed a news article from 4 years ago, a pack dispute in Montana that had turned violent. The photo showed a massive man, easily 6'5", with shoulders like a linebacker and eyes that looked dead, even in the photograph. Maddox Mad Dog Volkov, alpha of the Northern Reach Pack, acquitted in the death of 3 rival pack members. Witnesses claim self-defense. Victims' families allege premeditated violence. Maddox Volkov, George read, alpha of one of the most violent packs in the region. He scrolled, his face going pale. Soren's wolf snarled, the sound vibrating through his chest. She ran from him. You don't know that, Soren, George said, still scrolling. Right around the time she appeared in Boulder with a new identity and a suppressant bracelet. But still, this is a guest. She superset her wolf to hide, and now her wolf is awake. He can sense her and track her. And she doesn't think I can fight this mad dog. George raised an eyebrow. Even after you worked together in the fire rescue? Soren nodded. I didn't fall from the sky like a rag doll and would have died if she didn't grab me braced for the fall impact. I wouldn't have too much confidence in me if I were her. If it's actually as Maddox, Sky is not wrong to worry. He eats other alphas for breakfast. They were moving toward the garage when Maya called out again. Alpha Soren? The leopard said one more thing. Soren turned. What? He said Sky doesn't understand what an evil, vindictive man with a hurt ego can do. Maya's voice trembled. He said she thinks she's protecting you, but she's wrong. He said... Maya swallowed hard. He said, please hurry. The motorcycle vibrated beneath Sky, the engine's roar swallowing the morning sounds of birds and wind. The rental wasn't powerful enough for what she needed. She'd have preferred something faster, something that could eat highway miles without complaint. But it was available and paid for in cash, and that was all that mattered. Snow clung to her back, tucked into the backpack she'd modified with air holes and a viewing window. His claws dug through the fabric into her shoulders, not quite breaking skin, but definitely making a point. This is being very exciting, Snow shouted over the wind, his accent thick with sarcasm. Very scenic, beautiful mountains, lovely asphalt. Also, I am hating every second of this and would very much prefer to be eating roasted vegetables at Sanctuary with nice civilized people. Sky said nothing, just opened the throttle a little more. The bike responded, pushing 70 on a road that suggested 55. You are not talking, Snow continued. This is being worse than the talking. At least when you talk, I know you are not completely disconnected from reality. Still nothing. Fine. I am knowing where we are going, Snow said. His voice dropped, losing the playful edge. You are going to find him, the source of your life problems. Maddox, and I am thinking this is very unwise plan. Sky's hands tightened on the handlebars. How do you know that name? I am being more observant than you think, Snow said. Also, I am spying on your computer when you are sleeping, looking up your old pack. The Northern Reach Pack, very charming people. By charming, I am meaning terrifying and possibly criminal. Snow. You are running from Maddox Volkov for 3 years, Snow continued. You are suppressing your wolf so he cannot track you. You are living in truck and never staying in one place because you are knowing if he finds you, he will claim you by force. His claws dug deeper. And now your wolf is awake and you are going to him? This is opposite of smart. This is very stupid. My bracelet snapped, Sky said. The words came out flat, emotionless. He'll find me. It's just a matter of time. And when he does, he'll hurt everyone around me to get to me. Soren, the pack. Lena, those kids we saved. You are underestimating Soren's pack, Snow said. I'm not, Sky said. But you don't understand what an evil, vindictive man with a hurt ego can do. The road curved ahead. The valley stretched out like a promise and a threat. Endless sky, mountains in the distance, and somewhere out there, Maddox, waiting. I am understanding more than you think, Snow said quietly. I am knowing about Maddox Volkov, about what he did to you, about why you ran. Sky's breath caught. How much do you know? Enough, Snow said. Enough to know this plan is terrible. Enough to know you should let Soren help. Enough to... A truck appeared ahead, parked sideways across the road. Sky hit the brakes, the motorcycle's tires screaming against asphalt. They slid, the bike tilting dangerously, gravel spraying. She fought to control it, to keep them upright, to... A figure stepped out from behind the truck. Massive, easily 6'5", shoulders like a mountain, eyes that looked wrong, too pale, too empty, like a wolf's eyes in a human face. Maddox. Hello, little runaway bride, he said. His voice was deep, rough, with an accent that spoke of northern territories and pack law and things that happened in the dark where witnesses didn't survive. Did you really think I wouldn't find you? Sky tried to turn the bike, to reverse, to do anything. Maddox moved faster than someone his size should be able to move. His hand closed around her arm and yanked. She flew off the bike, Snow's backpack tearing free, the leopard yowling as they both hit the ground hard. The world spun, sky and asphalt switching places, pain exploding up her side. Sky tried to roll, to get to her feet, to shift. Maddox's fist caught her across the face. The impact snapped her head back. Copper flooded her mouth. The world tilted sideways, sounds fading in and out like a radio losing signal. 3 years, Maddox said. He crouched beside her, his hand fisting in her hair, yanking her head up. 3 years you made me look weak, made me look like an alpha who couldn't even keep his own mate. Not... Sky's voice came out slurred. Blood ran down her chin. Not your mate. Yes, Maddox said. His other hand closed around her throat. You are. Your wolf knows it. My wolf knows it. The moon knows it. You can run for 3 years or 30. Doesn't matter. You're mine. Snow launched himself at Maddox's face, claws extended, yowling like a demon. Maddox swatted him away like he was nothing. Snow hit the truck with a sickening thud and dropped, limp. Snow! Sky tried to move, to reach for him, but Maddox's hand tightened on her throat. Sleep, he said. We're going home, where you belong, where you've always belonged. His fist came down again, and Sky's world dropped into darkness. Chapter 6. Sky woke to the smell of chemicals and dust. Her head throbbed where Maddox had hit her, a deep, pulsing ache that made her vision swim. The taste of blood was thick in her mouth. Her hands were bound behind her back, zip ties pulled tight enough to cut into her wrists. She was lying on concrete. Cold seeped through her clothes, into her bones. Above her, industrial lighting flickered, casting shadows across a cavernous space filled with pallets and bags stacked to the ceiling. A warehouse. She could smell fertilizer, that distinctive chemical tang mixed with organic matter. Farm supply, probably. Bulk agricultural products, smart location, remote. No neighbors to hear screaming. Sky tested the zip ties carefully, pulling against them. They bit deeper into her skin but didn't give. Her wolf stirred beneath her ribs, awake and angry, wanting to shift and tear free. Not yet. She needed to think, to plan, to... A small sound made her freeze, scratching, soft and deliberate, coming from above. Sky tilted her head carefully, keeping her breathing steady, feigning unconsciousness. A ventilation grate near the ceiling, maybe 2 feet square, rusted around the edges. As she watched, the grate shifted, moved, A pale shape squeezed through the opening. Snow. The leopard dropped silently onto a stack of fertilizer bags, then picked his way down like he was navigating a particularly challenging climbing wall. When he reached the floor, he bounded over to her, his blue eyes wild with relief and fury. "You are being awake, yes?" he whispered, pressing his nose against her cheek. "Good. I am finding you. I am being very clever and brave. Also small, which is usually disadvantage, but this time is very helpful for vent crawling." "Snow," Sky breathed. "Are you okay? He hit you?" "I am having very hard head," Snow said. "Like rock or bowling ball. He is hitting me. I am playing dead very convincingly. Then when he is putting you in truck, I am climbing onto roof. Very dramatic. Very action movie." He turned his attention to her hands, his teeth working at the zip tie. "Now I am chewing through this terrible plastic restraint, and we are leaving before he returns." The zip tie was thick, reinforced. Snow's teeth scraped against it, gaining purchase. "How did you find me?" "I am following the truck," Snow said around a mouthful of plastic. "Then when he is carrying you inside, I am squeezing through loading dock, then waiting, then finding vent system." He paused to catch his breath. "This building is being very large. Took me 20 minutes to locate correct room. Very stressful." The zip tie snapped. Sky's hands came free. She sat up slowly, her head spinning, and pulled Snow against her chest. He was trembling beneath his fur, his heart beat fast against her palm. "Thank you," she whispered. "You are welcome," Snow said. "Now we are running very fast and finding Soren, who is probably losing his mind with worry and also bringing many large wolves for fighting." "We can't wait for Soren," Sky said. She pushed to her feet, her body protesting. Her ribs ached where she'd hit the ground. Her face throbbed where Maddox had punched her, but her wolf was healing it, knitting bone and tissue with an efficiency she'd forgotten. "Maddox won't give us time. We run now or we don't run at all." The warehouse door slammed open. Maddox filled the doorway, 6'5" of muscle and rage, his eyes glowing amber in the dim light. "Going somewhere, little mate?" Snow dove behind a pallet. Sky stayed on her feet, hands loose at her sides, weight balanced. Every adventure sports injury, every rescue mission, every moment of training crystallized into this: survive. "I'm not your mate," she said. "Your wolf says different," Maddox said. He stepped into the warehouse, the door swinging shut behind him with a heavy clang. "I can smell it on you, the bond trying to form. Fighting it just makes it worse, you know. Makes the pull stronger." "There's no bond," Sky said. "There's your obsession and my wolf's self-preservation instinct telling it to run." Maddox's smile was all teeth. 3 years you've been running. Thought you were so clever. Suppressant bracelet, new name, living off the grid." He took another step closer. "But you couldn't stay away from pack, could you? Couldn't resist that billionaire alpha. One taste of pack life and you forgot everything I taught you." "You didn't teach me anything except what monsters look like," Sky said. His hand moved so fast she almost didn't see it. Almost. She ducked, his fist whistling past her ear, and drove her elbow into his ribs. The impact jarred up her arm. Hitting him was like hitting concrete. He didn't even grunt. His backhand caught her across the face. Sky's head snapped to the side. Pain exploded across her cheekbone. She tasted blood again, felt her vision gray at the edges. But she didn't go down. Didn't give him the satisfaction. "You hit harder when you're scared," she said, spitting blood onto the concrete between them. Maddox's eyes flashed. "I'm going to enjoy breaking you of that mouth." He lunged. Sky dove to the side, grabbing the edge of a pallet and swinging herself around it. Her fingers found a bag of fertilizer. 50 pounds of nitrogen-rich plant food in cheap plastic packaging. She ripped it open as Maddox rounded the corner and threw the contents directly into his face. White powder exploded in a cloud. Maddox roared, clawing at his eyes, stumbling backward. The fertilizer burned. All those chemicals designed to feed plants doing terrible things to sensitive wolf senses. "Now!" Snow shrieked from his hiding spot. Sky didn't hesitate. She ran at Maddox while he was blind, drew back her fist, and drove it into his nose with every ounce of strength her wolf could give her. Bone crunched, blood sprayed. Maddox's head snapped back. Sky ran. The warehouse was a maze of pallets and equipment. She vaulted over a loading cart, ducked under hanging chains, her feet pounding on concrete. Behind her, Maddox's roar shook the building, rage and pain and promises of violence. The exit was ahead. Loading dock doors, partially open, daylight streaming through. 50 feet, 40, 30. A hand closed around her ankle. Skye went down hard, the concrete punching the air from her lungs. Maddox dragged her backward, his grip iron hard despite the blood streaming from his broken nose. "Thought you could," he started. A motorcycle engine roared. Skye twisted her head. Through the loading dock door, she could see the parking lot, and racing across it, going way too fast for safety, was a massive black Escalade. It skidded to a stop. The driver's door flew open. Soren stepped out. Their eyes met across the distance. The mate bond flared between them, recognition and relief and fury all burning white-hot. "Let her go," Soren said. His voice was quiet, controlled, the kind of quiet that preceded violence. Maddox laughed. "Or what? You'll challenge me? You're what, second-generation alpha? Silver Spoon Pack leadership?" He hauled Skye up by her hair, using her as a shield. "I've killed alphas twice your age, and I'll snap you like—" Skye drove her elbow backward into his solar plexus. Maddox's grip loosened just enough. She twisted free, dropped low, and swept his legs. He went down. She ran to Soren, her wolf singing with joy at the proximity to her mate. But she didn't hide behind him, didn't collapse into his arms seeking protection. She stood beside him. Partner, equal. "You don't have to challenge him," Skye said. "Challenge is one-on-one and he doesn't fight fair. Ever." "Yes, I do need to challenge him," Soren said. His eyes never left Maddox, who was climbing to his feet, blood still streaming from his broken nose. "Alpha to alpha. He hurt my mate. That requires answer." "You don't owe him a challenge," Skye said. "We're fated mates. Pack law says—" "Pack law says I can kill him where he stands for touching you," Soren interrupted. "I'm offering him more mercy than he deserves. A formal challenge. Winner takes territory and title. Loser leaves and never returns." Maddox spat blood onto the concrete. "You think you can beat me, pup?" "I know I can," Soren said. "He'll kill you," Skye whispered. Soren looked at her then, really looked at her. His hand found hers, squeezed once. "Trust me." The bond hummed between them. Skye's wolf recognized his wolf, trusted his wolf, even if her human mind was screaming that this was suicide. "Okay," she whispered. Maddox laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. "This is precious. The little runaway thinks her new mate can save her." He started walking toward them, his gait predatory. "I'm going to kill him in front of you. Then I'm going to claim you while his body's still warm. Make sure you understand exactly what happens to wolves who defy me." "You talk too much," Soren said. Then he shifted. Not the partial shift from the barn rescue. Full wolf, massive and silver gray, with eyes that glowed amber in the afternoon light. He was beautiful, all power and grace and deadly intent. Maddox shifted too. His wolf was bigger, darker, scarred from 100 fights. A killing machine built from violence and ego. They circled each other. Skye's hands clenched into fists. Her wolf wanted to shift, wanted to fight beside her mate. But this was Soren's challenge, his fight. Interfering would invalidate it under pack law. All she could do was watch. Maddox struck first, a feint to the left followed by a lunge to the right. Soren dodged, his movements fluid. He didn't counterattack, just evaded. Again, Maddox lunged. Soren danced away. "Fight me!" Maddox snarled, the words guttural in his wolf throat. Soren said nothing, just kept moving, kept evading, making Maddox chase, making him burn energy, making him angry. Strategy. George's voice echoed in Skye's memory from the barn rescue. Soren's greatest strength isn't size or speed, it's that he thinks. Maddox was bigger, stronger, more experienced in killing, but Soren was smarter. The dance continued, Maddox growing more frustrated, his attacks more wild. Soren staying calm, staying controlled, waiting for the opening. It came when Maddox overextended on a lunge. Soren moved like liquid silver. He ducked under Maddox's attack, twisted, and sank his teeth into the bigger wolf's shoulder. Not a killing bite, a control bite, forcing Maddox off balance. They went down in a tangle of fur and teeth and claws. The fight was brutal, visceral, blood on concrete, snarls echoing off warehouse walls. They rolled, separated, clashed again. Maddox's size was an advantage in close quarters. He pinned Soren twice, jaws snapping for the throat. But Soren was faster, slipped free both times, leaving deep furrows in Maddox's flanks. Skye watched her mate fight for her. For them, for the future they'd barely begun to imagine. And slowly, impossibly, Soren was winning. Maddox was bleeding from a dozen wounds. His movements were slowing. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like fear. Soren drove him back against a pallet stack, went for the throat, missed by inches as Maddox twisted away. But the miss left Maddox's belly exposed. Soren's claws raked across vulnerable flesh, not deep enough to disembowel, deep enough to hurt, to send a message. Maddox yelped, an undignified sound from a wolf who'd terrorized packs for decades. Soren shifted back to human, stood over Maddox's wolf form, breathing hard, covered in blood, some his, mostly not. Yield! Maddox shifted back too, slower, older. His face was gray with pain and blood loss. No. You've lost, Soren said. Your pack saw you run from challenge, saw you beaten by a pup. You have nothing left. Yield and leave with your life. Kill him, someone said. Skye turned. George stood at the loading dock entrance, phone in hand. Behind him, a dozen wolves in human form, Soren's pack, watching their alpha defend his mate. He'll just come back, another voice said. Finish it. But Soren looked at Skye. Your call. He hurt you. He hunted you. What do you want? Skye looked at Maddox, broken, bleeding, defeated. 3 years she'd run from this man. 3 years of fear and suppression and loneliness. And now he was nothing. Just a bully who'd finally met someone stronger. Exile, she said. Take his territory, his title. Send him away packless. But let him live. Mercy, Maddox spat, from a weak... Not mercy, Skye interrupted. I want you to live knowing you lost, knowing a weak female and a pup alpha destroyed everything you built. Death would be too kind. Soren nodded. Go, now, before I change my mind. Maddox climbed to his feet, swaying. Blood dripped from his wounds, pattering on concrete. His eyes promised murder, promised revenge. He took 3 steps toward the exit, then lunged at Soren's unprotected back. Skye screamed a warning. Soren started to turn, but Maddox was too close, moving too fast. A bag of fertilizer exploded directly in Maddox's face. Then another. A barrage of white powder detonating like bombs, the bags thrown with precision timing from the loading dock. Maddox went down, choking, clawing at his eyes and nose. The fertilizer burned worse the second time, his wounds making him more sensitive, his broken nose letting the chemicals deep into his sinuses. Snow appeared on top of a pallet stack, his paw raised like a general directing troops. Now the phone! George, angle to the left. We are needing his face clearly visible. He has shit on his face. This is being very important for courtroom evidence. George shifted his phone, capturing Maddox writhing on the ground. 2 of Soren's pack members stepped into frame. Maddox, blind and disoriented, lashed out with claws extended. I'll kill you all! Maddox roared, his voice raw. I'll hunt you forever. Perfect, Snow declared. We are getting it all. This is being live-streamed and sent to the Wolf Council. The attack from behind, very dishonorable. The violence against pack members who are showing mercy. And having shit on the face, no dignity at all. Not fit for an alpha, not even fit for a pack. Now is the point where you run, Soren said, his voice deadly calm. I don't run, Maddox snarled. You asked for it. Soren waved his hand in the air. Behind the pallets, his pack emerged. Full pack. Even the rival cousin and the uncle who'd challenged him before. All of them united. A wall of wolves, standing with their alpha. You're publicly cast out of the wolf community in this region, Soren said. You will leave and never return. His pack charged. And at that point, Maddox ran. Snow kept his paw raised, directing George's phone to capture every moment of the retreat. "The best part," Snow announced, "is that I am editing this footage into very dramatic documentary. I am thinking title should be The Fall of Mad Dog, A Story of Justice. I'm already having sponsorship offers from 3 different pet food companies who are thinking Talking Leopard is excellent spokesperson. I am negotiating percentages." Despite everything, the pain, the fear, the violence, Skye started laughing. Once she started, she couldn't stop. It bubbled up from somewhere deep in her chest, half hysteria and half genuine amusement. George's phone buzzed. He checked it and looked up. "Official statement from Wolf Council. Maddox Volkov is hereby stripped of all pack authority pending formal hearing. All territories and bonds are dissolved immediately. Any wolf who shelters him will face council sanction." "Wolf Council enforcement is arriving in 1 hour," George said. "We should move Skye somewhere more comfortable. She needs medical attention." "I'm fine," Skye said automatically. "You are not fine," Snow said, appearing at her feet. "You are having bruised ribs, facial trauma, multiple contusions, and probably mild concussion. Also, you are covered in fertilizer and blood, which is being very unsanitary. We are leaving this terrible warehouse and going to comfortable place with soft beds and vegetable-based meals." "The sanctuary?" Skye asked. "Sanctuary," Soren confirmed. "Where you belong. Where we both belong." He pulled her against his chest. She went willingly, her wolf finally quiet, finally at peace. The bond hummed between them, no longer fighting it, no longer afraid. "I'm sorry I ran," she whispered against his shoulder. "I'm sorry you felt you had to," Soren whispered back. Snow made a pointed clearing sound. "This is being very romantic, but can we please leave? I am smelling like chemicals. I need a wash and blow dry, and a celebratory dinner. I am thinking I have earned roasted vegetables and also possibly cake. Vegan cake. I am being hero. Heroes are deserving cake." Skye laughed. "You absolutely earned cake." "Excellent," Snow preened. "I am also wanting to edit the footage with dramatic music, maybe slow-motion shots of fertilizer exploding. Very cinematic. I am thinking this could be winning awards." Skye climbed into the Escalade, Soren's arm around her shoulders. Snow claimed the entire back seat, sprawling like royalty. 6,000 viewers, George said from the driver's seat, checking his phone. 7,000 now. Snow, you're trending on Shifter social media. "Of course I am," Snow said. "I am being very compelling on camera. Good cheekbones, excellent comedic timing." As they pulled away, Skye looked back once, saw the warehouse growing smaller, taking her nightmares with it. Then she turned forward, toward the sanctuary, toward pack and family and home, toward the future she'd finally let herself believe in. Chapter 7. The drive back to the sanctuary took 3 hours. Skye spent the first hour in silence, her head resting against Soren's shoulder, watching Montana mountains give way to familiar peaks. Her body ached, ribs protesting with every breath, face throbbing where Maddox had hit her. But her wolf was healing it all with methodical efficiency. The bond hummed between them, steady and sure, no longer terrifying, just there, like breathing. Snow had claimed the entire back seat and fallen asleep within 10 minutes, sprawled on his back with his paws in the air, snoring softly. George drove with one hand, the other scrolling through his phone, coordinating with the sanctuary. "Mom's preparing a feast," George said, glancing in the rearview mirror. "She's also mobilized half the pack to clean up from the fire damage and set up for tomorrow night's gathering. I tried to tell her you might want to postpone, but—" "No postponing," Soren said. His hand tightened around Skye's. "The gathering happens, as planned." Skye lifted her head. "Soren, we don't have to—" "Yes, we do," he said quietly. "You deserve to be claimed properly. In front of the pack, under the full moon. Not in a warehouse covered in fertilizer while my uncle live streams the whole thing." "I am thinking that was very romantic," Snow mumbled from the back seat, not opening his eyes. "Very action movie. Explosions and declarations of love. Box office gold." "You're supposed to be sleeping," Skye said. "I am sleeping," Snow said. I am also listening because I am talented at multitasking. Also, I am wanting to make sure Soren is properly apologizing for not stopping you from running away in first place. Snow, Sky started. He is right, Soren interrupted. He shifted so he could look at her properly. I should have asked why you were suppressed. Should have pushed harder when you deflected. Should have... Read my mind? Sky asked. Soren, I've been running for 3 years. I'm really good at not being found. You couldn't have stopped me. I could have tried harder, Soren said. You came after me, Sky said. You challenged an alpha who's killed dozens of wolves. You brought your whole pack despite not knowing if they'd follow you. Her voice caught. You chose me, even knowing I brought danger to your family. You are my family, Soren said simply. The bond flared between them, recognition and acceptance, and something that felt dangerously like forever. I need to tell you everything, Sky said. About Maddox, about why I ran, about... Not here, Soren said, glancing at George and the still pretending to sleep Snow. Tonight, when it's just us, you can tell me everything or nothing, whatever you're ready for. I want to tell you, Sky said. You deserve to know what you're getting into. I already know what I'm getting into, Soren said. A mate who dives after unconscious alphas from 13,000 feet, who runs into burning buildings to save children, who faces her nightmares head-on even when she's terrified. His thumb brushed her cheekbone, careful of the bruise forming there. I'm getting you. Everything else is just details. Snow made a sound like a tea kettle. This is being very emotional. I am crying. You cannot see because my eyes are closed, but I am having feelings. You're impossible, Sky said, but she was smiling. I am being emotional support animal, Snow said with dignity. Supporting emotions is literally in my job description. The sanctuary appeared around the final curve as the sun touched the mountain peaks, stone and timber glowing gold in the late afternoon light. But something was different. Lights everywhere. Strings of Edison bulbs draped between trees, wrapped around porch railings, creating a canopy of warm light across the lawn. Tables had been set up, at least 20 of them, covered in white cloths and wildflower centerpieces. A massive grill smoked near the outdoor kitchen, tended by Soren's father and 2 uncles. And people. So many people. The entire pack, it seemed, had gathered. Cooking, decorating, setting up chairs, children running between the tables shrieking with laughter. The 5 kids from the barn rescue were playing tag, their parents watching from the porch with relieved smiles. Lena stood at the center of it all, directing traffic with the efficiency of a general and the warmth of someone who did this, because she loved it. What? Sky started. Mom doesn't do anything halfway, Soren said, but his voice was full of affection. The Escalade pulled into the driveway. Before it fully stopped, Lena was there, yanking open Sky's door with tears already streaming down her face. You're alive, she said, pulling Sky into a hug that made her ribs scream. You're safe. You're home. I'm sorry, Sky whispered into Lena's shoulder. I ran. I brought danger to your family. You protected my son, Lena interrupted, pulling back to cup Sky's face in her hands. You faced the thing that terrified you most because you thought it would keep us safe. Don't you dare apologize for that. But no buts. Lena's voice was firm. Your pack now, mine, and pack doesn't apologize for protecting each other. Something in Sky's chest cracked wide open. She'd spent 3 years alone, 3 years convinced she didn't deserve pack, didn't deserve family, didn't deserve home. And here was this woman, this alpha's mother who barely knew her, claiming her anyway. Thank you, Sky whispered. Come, Lena said, linking her arm through Sky's. You need food, a shower, and probably medical attention, though your wolf seems to be handling the medical part. She glanced at Sky's face, where the bruising was already fading to yellow-green. Impressive healing speed. 3 years of suppression, Sky said. My wolf's making up for lost time. Snow appeared at their feet, stretching luxuriously. I am also needing food and shower, preferably blow-dry after shower. My fur is being disaster. Already arranged, Lena said. The grooming station is set up in the mudroom. 2 of my daughters are fighting over who gets to pamper you. This is being acceptable, Snow said, as long as there is vegetable platter involved. Roasted root vegetables, grilled portobello, quinoa salad, and a special vegan chocolate cake, Lena listed. George called ahead with your preferences. Snow's eyes went wide. I am loving this family. I am staying forever. Good, Lena said simply. We're keeping you. 4 hours later, Sky stood on the balcony of Soren's private room, not the guest room from before, but his actual space in the East Wing. The party below was winding down, children being carried to cars, adults lingering over wine and conversation. She'd showered, borrowed clothes from Soren's sister, jeans and a soft sweater that smelled like lavender, and eaten more food than she had in the last week combined. Her wolf purred with contentment, fed, safe, home. The door opened behind her. Soren entered carrying 2 mugs of tea, the scent of chamomile and honey filling the air. Thought you might want this, he said, handing her one. Thanks. Sky wrapped her hands around the warm ceramic. Your mom throws quite a party. She's been planning tomorrow's gathering for 2 weeks, Soren said, joining her at the railing. But when George called to say we were coming home, she decided we needed a welcome celebration too. For me? Sky asked. For us, Soren corrected. For the pack seeing their alpha choose his mate. For you facing down your nightmare and surviving. He paused. For family coming home. Sky's throat tightened. I need to tell you about Maddox. About what happened 3 years ago. Okay, Soren said simply. So she told him. About meeting Maddox at a regional gathering. About him deciding she was his mate after one conversation. About her politely declining. About him not accepting no for an answer. About the year of escalating harassment, the showing up at her work, the following her home. The gifts that felt like threats. Her pack's alpha dismissing it as courtship and telling her to give him a chance. About Maddox finally cornering her alone. The forced kiss, the claim that her wolf would come around once they mated, her fighting him off and running. About 3 years of hiding. Suppression. Loneliness. Convincing herself she was protecting everyone by staying away. I'm not some innocent victim, Sky said, staring into her tea. I should have fought harder. Should have reported him to the Wolf Council earlier. Should have... Stop, Soren said quietly. Sky looked up. You survived, Soren said, against an alpha twice your size with a reputation for violence. You protected yourself the only way you could. That's not weakness, that's strength. I ran, Sky said. You survived, Soren repeated. And today you stopped running. You faced him. You won. His hand found hers on the railing. Do you regret it? Fighting instead of hiding? Sky thought about it. About the fear, the pain, the moment when Maddox's fist had connected with her face. About standing beside Soren as equals. About his pack choosing to fight with them. About Snow's ridiculous heroism and Maddox running like the coward he'd always been. About coming home. No, she said. I don't regret it. Good, Soren said, because I'm not letting you run again. Possessive much? Sky asked, but she was smiling. Absolutely, Soren said. You're my mate. I fought for you. Won you. I'm keeping you. Won me? Sky raised an eyebrow. I'm not a prize. No, Soren agreed. You're my partner, my equal, the wolf my wolf chose and my heart confirmed. He set down his tea and turned to face her fully. Tomorrow night at the gathering, I'm claiming you in front of the pack. Formally, permanently, if you'll have me. Sky's heart hammered against her healing ribs. This is really fast. We barely know each other. We fell from a plane together, Soren said. Saved children from a fire. Fought a psychotic alpha in a fertilizer warehouse. I think we've covered about 5 years of relationship milestones in 1 week. When you put it that way, Sky started. I love you, Soren interrupted. The words hung in the air between them, simple and devastating and true. You don't have to say it back, Soren continued. You don't have to feel the same way yet, but I need you to know, this isn't just wolf instinct. This isn't just the bond. This is me, Soren, choosing you, Sky. Every day, for as long as you'll let me. Sky set down her tea. Her hands were shaking. I don't know if I love you yet, she said honestly. But I know that when I woke up in that warehouse, the first thing I thought was, I need to protect Soren. And when you showed up, when our eyes met, her voice caught. I've never felt safer, never felt more home. So maybe that's not love yet, but it's something. And I want to find out what it becomes. That's enough, Soren said. That's more than enough. He kissed her then, not the claiming kiss from the barn, not the desperate kiss before she ran. This was soft, exploring, a question and an answer and a promise that they had time to figure it out. When they broke apart, Sky rested her forehead against his. Tomorrow night, she said, at the gathering, claim me properly. You're sure? Soren asked. I'm sure, Sky said. I'm done running. I'm done hiding. I want this, want you, want... She gestured at the party below, at the pack and family and home. All of it. You'll get all of it, Soren promised, and more. The next evening, as the sun set and the full moon rose over the mountains, the Silvercrest pack gathered. Sky wore a dress borrowed from Soren's sister, deep forest green that brought out the gold in her eyes, simple and elegant. Her hair was loose, her feet bare as tradition required for mate claims. Snow had insisted on a bow tie. He wore it with extreme dignity, sitting in the front row beside Lena, his fur freshly groomed and fluffed. The pack formed a circle on the lawn, 50 wolves standing witness. Soren stood in the center wearing dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, his hair still damp from his ritual bath. George stood beside him, officiating as beta. We gather under the full moon to witness the claiming of mates. Soren Silvercrest, alpha of this pack, calls forward his chosen. Sky stepped into the circle. The pack's eyes tracked her, assessing, judging, accepting. She could smell their emotions, curiosity, approval, welcome. Even Samuel, who'd tried to humiliate her 2 days ago, stood silent and respectful. Sky Thornfield, Soren said, his voice carrying across the circle. My wolf chose you. My heart confirmed it. I claim you as my mate, my partner, my equal. Before the pack and the moon, I ask, will you have me? Traditional words, old words, but his eyes said something more. I love you. I choose you. Stay. I will, Sky said. Her voice was steady, sure. I choose you. I claim you as mine. Before the pack and the moon, I accept. The bond flared, no longer forming, but complete, sealed. The full weight of it settled over them both like a warm blanket. Soren stepped forward and kissed her. The pack erupted in cheers, howls echoing across the mountains. When they broke apart, Lena was crying. George was grinning. Snow was standing on his hind legs, paws raised in triumph. I am calling it, Snow announced over the noise. This is being best romance story of year. I am pitching to Netflix. We are getting series deal. The pack laughed. Someone, Soren's father, started clapping. Others joined in. Speech, someone called. No speech, Soren said, but he was smiling. Just thank you for standing with me, for accepting Sky, for being pack. For being family, Lena added, pulling Sky into a hug. And just like that, Sky Thornfield, who'd spent 3 years alone, running, hiding, had a pack, a family, a home, and a mate who looked at her like she was the answer to every question he'd ever asked. Later, much later, after the feast and the dancing and the pack slowly dispersing to their homes, Sky and Soren sat on the porch swing where they'd kissed 2 nights ago. The moon was directly overhead now, full and bright and perfect. I have something to tell you, Sky said. Okay, Soren said. I think I might love you, she said. It's too soon. It's crazy. But when you kissed me in that circle in front of everyone, she paused. I felt it. Not just the bond, the choice, the wanting, all of it. Soren's smile was blinding. Yeah? Yeah, Sky confirmed. He kissed her again, deeper this time, pulling her into his lap, hands tangling in her hair. When they finally broke apart for air, Snow's voice came from the doorway. I am not being here, Snow announced. I am not seeing anything. I am very conveniently in the kitchen eating cake. He paused. But also you should know, my YouTube channel is launching tomorrow. The Fall of Mad Dog is being episode 1. I am already having 10,000 subscribers and sponsorship deal with premium cat food company. You're not a cat, Sky said automatically. They are not knowing this yet, Snow said. I am negotiating. Also, I am having a fan. A very interesting fan who is leaving many comments on my practice videos. A fan? Soren asked. A lady snow leopard, Snow said, his voice going uncharacteristically shy. She is living in sanctuary in Nepal. She is also being vegan, and she is thinking my documentary work is showing great promise. Snow, Sky said, sitting up. Are you blushing? I am not blushing, Snow said with dignity. I am being warm from the cake. Very rich cake, lots of chocolate. He turned to leave, then paused. Her name is Freya. She is very beautiful and smart, and she is thinking my accent is distinguished. He disappeared into the house, tail held high. Sky looked at Soren. Did Snow just tell us he has a crush? I think he did, Soren said. That's adorable, Sky said. That's terrifying, Soren corrected. If Snow gets a mate, we'll never hear the end of it. He'll produce an entire documentary series about their romance, with commentary and sponsorships. Worth it, Sky said. He deserves happiness, too. He does, Soren agreed. He pulled her back against his chest, arms wrapped around her waist. We all do. They sat there on the porch swing, the moon painting everything silver, the sanctuary quiet except for distant sounds of packs settling in for the night. Sky tried to memorize it all, not because she was afraid of losing it this time, but because she wanted to remember the moment she stopped running and chose to stay. Tomorrow, Soren said quietly, Snow's launching his channel, and I'm guessing we'll all be featured in it. Probably, Sky said. You okay with that? Soren asked. Being public, after 3 years of hiding? Sky thought about it. About Maddox, stripped of everything, running from a pack he'd tried to terrorize. About the Wolf Council's official statement. About being surrounded by family who'd chosen to protect her. I'm okay with it, she said. Let them see. Let everyone see. I'm not hiding anymore. Good, Soren said, because I plan to show you off. A lot. Possessive alpha, Sky teased. Your possessive alpha, Soren corrected. My possessive alpha, Sky agreed. And in the morning, when Snow launched his YouTube channel with dramatic music and slow-motion footage of fertilizer explosions, when the pack gathered around the computer to watch and cheer, when Lena announced she was planning their official mating ceremony for the solstice, Sky realized she wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living, and it felt like coming home. And that's Crash Landing into Love, written by Dean Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. But wait, Snow's story doesn't end here. Picture this. Snow's documentary goes viral. A stunning female snow leopard from Nepal starts leaving flirty comments on his videos. The entire Silvercrest pack discovers their favorite vegan leopard has a massive crush. Chaos ensues. The exclusive bonus epilogue, Snow's Big Break, is waiting for you right now. But here's the best part. When you join the Happy Novels community at happynovels.com, you get access to all the bonus content. You'll never miss a new story, and you can binge every romance in one place whenever you want. It's completely free to join. Just head to happynovels.com, link in the description and pinned in the first comment, and become part of a community that loves feel-good shifter romances as much as you do. Because let's be honest, finding stories that make you laugh, swoon, and believe in happy endings? That's what we're all here for. And at Happy Novels, you'll find readers who get it, who celebrate Snow's one-liners with you, who debate whether the fire rescue or the fertilizer attack was the best scene, who can't wait to see what impossible meet-cute happens next. So join us. Register at happynovels.com, get the bonus epilogue, access the complete collection. Be part of the community.